We got up early. Well, Stephanie got up early Thursday. She had these mimosas that she wanted to make. That was like waking up and like right into champagne.
Yeah.
It was rough. They were great. The drinks were pretty and they tasted really good, but for like just wake up and like right into a bottle of champagne.
Holidays are about the only time I'll drink champagne, and man, there's no more drunk.
And the worst headache.
Yeah.
When we were going to Canyons for bike night.
Yeah.
Dude. What were those snake bites? So it was like champagne and Guinness.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that sounds horrible.
That does sound terrible, actually.
It was very tasty.
Very tasty.
Very tasty. Yeah. I got blitzkrieg so many times there.
I've been having an issue because one of my favorite drinks right now is an espresso martini, and that's not really the kind of drink that you drink the way I drink. You know what I'm saying?
No,
it's like you have one and then you go on to something else. But I'm like, I don't know how to not have 4 of these.
That's like,
right.
That's just like, I'm just gonna drink Jaeger bombs all night.
I feel like it's a pretentious Red Bull vodka is what it is. Because it's like a an energy upper kind of thing,
right?
Mixed with the
like
alcohol,
like a Jaeger bomb.
Yeah.
Any Red Bull, anything. Yeah, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be all right. There's a lot of martinis,
but
I can't do it in that glass.
Oh, glass.
I'll do a dry, or dirty martini in a martini glass. I feel a little masculine in that sense, just James Bondish. But when I start seeing like an espresso martini or, what was it? Hula Hands, they had an espresso martini and they would garnish it with a ding dong.
Oh, that's gay.
That's kind of.
Why would you? Oh, a ding dong. I'm thinking I was thinking like a beanie weenie or
like a Hostess ding dong.
Yeah,
Hostess ding dong.
I don't know, man. It's I've just been doing like whiskey and soda for the longest, but then one of these podcasts we did a while back where Jake started making these old fashions. I've tried to have old fashions before, but I just never really enjoyed it. It was either too sweet or too this or too that. And then when he made them on here for us one time, I was like, fuck, that was actually really good. And then at his birthday, I think last year, he was making them, and I was like, fuck, I got to drive home.
Well, you can almost tell instantly at a bar what a good old fashioned is going to be. First off, what cherry they use is definitely the biggest telltale sign. But then, just how they actually mix it is another way. But the typical way is actually via a rye. The correct way is supposed to be a rye.
Yep.
But bourbon's fine too. But so we're doing the last time we did it with a bourbon. This is a rye. So and we're drinking Still Austin Rye this time. They supported us with giving us a couple bottles this podcast. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, big shout out. Austin, was it Still Austin?
Yeah.
I think we looked it up last time. It's right there in the south side.
Yeah.
We'll
be there, I guess, the weekend of the Biker Build-Off. So we're going to try to hit Still Austin while we're there.
Hell yeah.
And then Josh Allison from American, he's got that American Metal
whiskey.
Whiskey. He's going to be there doing 2 bottle signings.
Oh, hell yeah.
He'll be there, I think, on the 13th and the 14th. So we're trying to link up with him while he's there.
That's cool.
So,
hell yeah.
What turned into a romantic getaway has turned into, we're going to hang out with your friends.
That's the way you planned it.
As they say, it be like that sometimes.
Like that. I said, what do you mean, my friends?
Well, that whole event, that whole time down there, Cowboy Harley's putting on that hosting the blockhead cruisy situation. Like, it's turning out to be like a little rad weekend that's going to be taking place down there in Austin. So now that's happening as well.
Yeah.
And we're going to be down there we're going to set the podcast studio up at the dealership.
Oh, are you?
So we're going to do a couple podcasts with those guys.
That Saturday?
We'll be there Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
So
yeah, we're going to swing by on that Saturday when the stunt show's going on.
Yeah.
we're gonna swing by for a couple hours, hang out with
That's
everybody.
in December.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the weekend of the 15th.
Yeah, I think that's right. 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Busy
All right.
weekend.
Cheers,
excited.
gentlemen.
cheers.
Cheers. Can't reach you,
Cheers.
but either way.
Yeah.
Cheers, buddy.
Just
Thank
mentally.
you. Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is 400, number 400 podcast, right?
Yes, 400.
All right. Well, congrats.
The actual 400.
Yeah.
So we did come together about a month ago to record this episode, and I guess fate would have it that just the audio just completely screwed up, and so we had to do this again. And like I was telling you guys before, I was pretty nervous about hitting you guys up and going, "Man, I fucked up. I'm so sorry." And I think Mark's had a great comeback. Is like, don't be sorry about us coming back together to hang out and drink whiskey and talk on a podcast.
All shucks, talk shit and drink whiskey.
Yeah, I'm like, oh fuck, really?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, when we did this last, was the election already over?
No, it was the week. It
was
was the
the
week
weekend
before.
before.
The weekend
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because we were sitting there going like, man, wonder what next week's gonna be like.
no, now we know.
Right.
Everybody's happy.
What
in
side
good
are you on,
moods.
Marcus? I can't
No,
tell.
I don't know. I don't know.
It was that was a wild time though, man. Now looking back at it, like I think a lot of us felt pretty confident going into it that it was going to turn out the way it did, but there's just that uncertainty, like, man, what if?
Mm-hmm.
And then we were at bike night and we watched a lot of it. We were all, I think everybody had their phones out and they were refreshing it every
Checking
like
the
10
states
minutes.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
county by county, play by play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. We were the same way. We were.
Everybody was waiting for that bomb from like Georgia, like all of a sudden at that
Yeah.
10:30. Oh, by the way, here comes 1 million
Yeah.
votes for someone that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you what, Babylon B has crushed it the last year or so. They always are good, but the satire site, there was one that were like, everyone celebrates because Arizona counts one more ballot.
I've had a lot of fun the last post-election with on TikTok. The Blue Anons. Dude, that has been so fun.
Yeah.
Watching people just doing the same thing that happened in 2020 where because according to them they're still counting ballots.
Yeah.
And
It's a
I'm
couple
like,
days, right? They
no,
were trying to.
currently.
Oh,
Yeah.
for real?
Yeah, and then they'll post that, I got my email from the Harris Walls Foundation or organization where they're asking for more money, and it's like,
Because they're 20 million in debt. in the
Yeah.
hole.
so
Um,
it's been hilarious. It's been my form of entertainment.
But do you feel like I feel like the tension and just the whole like eyes on it have just kind of, it feels like we all just kind of went back to like a little bit of normalcy afterwards. It feels that way, at least to me.
I think either way it would have been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of an election. Like people get all like worked up over it, and it's just gonna settle down. Now, I am surprised that given the outcome, no cities burned down because you look at what happened in Portland. When on the other side of what was it, 4-ish years ago or so, or how long ever it was, when they like literally took over the city and
Summer of Love, dude.
They-
Summer of Love.
they took over the courthouse there and like barricaded themselves in there.
Yeah,
Was it
And,
Chaz?
yeah, Chaz.
Yeah.
That's a cool ass name.
Yeah. So,
I'm actually the most surprised though on how they've taken and they've tried to turn Rogan into a like, oh, you're just some hardcore
Dragon believer.
Well, that too, but like a hard MAGA guy, and he's not.
He's not.
I mean, he was a Bernie bozo,
Yeah.
and he just realized like what some of the craziest things that were happening recently, and just
Dude, those podcasts that he did, like I tried to get through the Trump one. I don't really like listening to the dude talk personally, but that the VP one, JD Vance one was so fucking good.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was-
the Musk one right afterwards, like it was, I don't know. I enjoyed those. And I think that was just kind of the nail in the coffin for a lot of that, the other, the mainstream media stuff and like transferring over to, YouTube and podcasts and things like that. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I like how too, and I'm not sitting here setting aside, but the left has said, oh, we need to find our own Joe Rogan. And it's like, you can't, because you'll like Rogan keeps things as civil, or at least
cordial.
Well, and or at least not trying to push necessarily one side.
They're just conversations.
Slightly unbiased, as much as unbiased as he can. Where the left, if they did have a left Joe Rogan, it would be basically MSNBC Today.
Well, they did have a left Rogan. It was Rogan, but the problem is they alienated him, and he's like, "Wait a second, this doesn't make sense."
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I think my perception, just even if we go back to, well, I think as a whole, the last 8+ years, what legacy media has been able to do, and they're openly lying, and that there's no repercussions for that. And then that continued on through COVID, where we just didn't have. You have these people in legacy media that just have this narrative that they want to sell, these talking points. It's all opinion based. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost sight of the truth, and there's no repercussions for lying. I think that's and so now it's kind of nice to see that. Okay, well, it's catching up with you.
Mm-hmm.
You just made up a good point, or you just brought up a good point that it really in the last 8 years, it hasn't been so much that we've had these wild candidates and this wild shit. It's just that it was that same frame in time that legacy media had to find a new way to continue to be a business. And it became all this outrage, the headlines, the clickbait, whatever to get you to click on the site to get ad revenue from everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that that's ultimately what we're all kind of sick of, is the forcing of all this in our face through social media, through just everything. And that's what I think made so much why things got so divisive amongst people over the years because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, it didn't matter where you went for your news source, legacy media, whether it was, your Yahoo, your Gmail, if you were on Google, I mean, wherever your email is, if you just look at the news that would pop up there, Facebook, and then what's on, mainstream media, is just this one narrative that they're constantly pushing. And then, like you said, a lot of clickbait stories. You'll see an article and, you'll read the headline and there's no truth to any of it. It's just a headline to get you to click on it. And, I think most people, like you said, they were just sick of it. Look, how this frivolous spending that we've seen on the government's part, while the average American hardworking person has had to struggle with the government's just overspending. And I mean, if you can't correlate the two between them just printing money and sending it overseas and inflation,
right?
I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's obvious.
It's obvious. And when you're streaming in, mass amounts of people from other countries, just willy nilly, and they get more benefits than our veterans, than some of our lower income citizens that are here. I think people are just sick of it.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation for it. Look, everybody will take somebody into their house. I mean, I genuinely believe we're all good-natured people, most of us, and we have the best intentions, but you can only house and host so many people. You only have X amount of resources. So, and I've worked with I've had a lot of students and employees over the years that were part of the Dreamer program. And I think, even talking to them, they just got forgotten. This is since 2016, they were really worried with Trump's first term. Nothing happened to him. But I think they had a lot of hope going into 2020 that they would get some residency status upgraded, and nothing. They just got forgotten.
Yeah.
And boy, you want to talk about bitter. These are young people. They came here when they were young as part of or they were on a Dreamers program.
What is the Dreamers program?
So I believe it's
when your parents come here and you're born here, like basically you can't be deported.
Thing.
When you're brought in as a child, and you've been raised in America, you're not a citizen. So they can't. The Dreamer program was put in place as an executive order so that you wouldn't be removed from the country. Because it's the only place that you. Because if you're born here, you're a naturalized citizen.
That's my fault. So if you're obviously you were a child, so you were brought here by your parents,
right?
But you essentially had no choice in coming here. You probably would have made that choice anyway.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah.
So and
but here's the problem you still have to have structure with it. I think we all have this humanitarian idea that we want to provide for the
Sure.
for the needy, right? But when you are so loose with it and so, the message is, come everyone, you have what I don't know what country in South America. My understanding is they like took advantage of that
Venezuela.
and let all their
Venezuela,
prisoners go
Yeah.
and said, go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Venezuela's crime rate, it's nothing now. And then you look at the amount of Venezuelans here that they're catching committing atrocities and crimes. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. I know everybody gets worked up over the whole immigration thing, but look, they make it sound like they're just going to round up everybody. I don't think that's the case.
What is it? Internment camps is what they try to. They use verb. They were using verbiage that I think that has real implications and real like shit behind it.
Polarization. They use
Yeah.
polarizing language to invoke emotion so that people will.
And it
Right.
kind of it just devalued what it actually meant
It
to
does.
the people that actually went through real shit,
does.
or
It does.
or segments of people
It
and
does.
whatnot.
My heart's with the people that have been here for 10 plus years, paying taxes, and they're still struggling to get citizenship.
Yeah.
That's
I have a good buddy that is, he's from India. He is an executive, married an American, has paid taxes every year, and has even paid, I think, at least 10 grand a year just to keep up with the process. And over 10 years, and
Still doesn't have a green card?
still is not a citizen.
Damn.
And it's like, man, you are giving everything that you can to, be a citizen. And then we're just going to sit here and say these people, just walking over are immediate citizens or at least have better benefits. than
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
well, and it was never done out of a humanitarian need. So I think there was an agenda. Clearly, I mean, look where most of them got funneled, into states that
Swing states.
that don't require ID.
Well, yeah.
So to vote anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm optimistic. Most people I run into and talk to, it seems like everybody's kind of breathing a sigh of relief. And look, this administration they have a huge responsibility to fill. I mean,
What I love about the fact that you're kind of getting away from legacy media and, podcasts are now a thing of like getting connection to these people is in a podcast, you have the chance to hold these people more accountable to the things that they said they were going to do and get real not speeches. Why did that not happen?
right.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that made me really excited about this was the type of people that Trump started surrounding himself with to come into office, like RFK and Tulsi and
Yes.
Elon and all these types of things. Like, okay, that seems like a real change, which
Yes.
is what we want.
Yes.
Let's hold him accountable to what he said he's going to do.
Yep.
And help him.
That was-
like I don't want this dude to lose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or fail.
That was the great takeaway. When he was on Rogan, was him explaining what he learned his first term, and the fact that he paid attention to that and he focused on that moving forward. That okay, when if I get another chance at this, I need people that are really going to make change and not going to be divisive. I'm not going to take the standard Washington opinion. There's a lot of these people that they're just lifetime politicians and bureaucrats and the fat cats. And so I think it's I love to see that we've got a fresh set of eyes and people that have a deep respect and appreciation for the American working class and know that our government it's just ballooned out of control. It's
Yeah.
not sustainable.
Well, what's wild too is there was a stat. I'm not going to sit here and try to repeat the exact stats, but Trump is essentially the only sitting president in the last, I don't know, probably more than this, but at least 20 years that has lost net worth as a president than like significantly gained. So like most of these people will come into office, with maybe they're lucky if they already have $1 million net worth.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's less than that. And they, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars when they leave office. And, he actually lost money because, half of his clientele probably left, or stopped going to his businesses.
Well, it's just good that it's all kind of like I said, we're on the other side of it. And like now, I don't know, I'm pretty optimistic going into next year. I think this year, I think one of the things we kind of talked about on the first go around at this 400th episode was kind of like this whole year of, at least for me, I felt like a lot of uncertainty, not politically, but just like what's going on in motorcycles. Like what's the stoke, or what am I excited for? What do I want to build? Like everything felt complacent.
Yeah.
Well, I would say though that my guess is that the outcome of the election will be better for motorcycles.
Yeah.
In the short term, at least. I think if it would have went the other way, based on what we've already seen with inflation and all this other stuff, I mean, I think that would have been a even larger struggle for motorcycle companies and events in 2025 and 2026 for sure.
Yeah. You're talking about extracurricular activities, and people were scaling back on just, childcare and groceries and gas to get to and from work. And I think with this injection of optimism, hopefully that spills over, and then hopefully we see some real changes, and this inflation will dial back, and maybe they'll make some changes with taxes and tax codes. And, I've heard whispers of, what they might do with taxes, reducing federal income tax for employees and employers. So you put more money in American pockets, they're going to spend it.
Spend more, yeah.
They're going to spend it, and they're going to spend it on their hobbies and their interests and traveling. And so, I'm optimistic that we might see a big boom in.
No matter how they spend it, whether you spend it monetarily or you put it in your savings, it's stimulating the market,
right.
The investment. Like,
right.
More money in the market is better than people not having that money.
I was having a conversation with Winton the other day. We were kind of catching up, and we were talking, because Winton has been a dude kind of supporting a lot of shops to build custom motorcycles for years, and always came out to Sturgis with like really fresh stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And like another close buddy of his and mine, a bike that I actually painted from Covington, that was like $100,000 performance bagger, right? Turbo, it's the blue one. I think you probably remember that one.
I love that paint job, actually.
So that bike, to the nines, everything you can do, but it's the wrong body style now. And so that was a $100,000 build, beginning of last year, I believe.
One Daytona, two Daytonas ago. So not this past one, but the one before that.
Yes. So last year, right? And come to find out, this year he finally was able to offload that bike and sell it. But you know how much he got for it? $40,000.
You already told me, so I'm not going to say. Yeah,
$40,000.
Yeah. So he lost over $60,000 in that.
He lost $60,000 in that build because the market for these motorcycles shifted when the new body styles came out. And I think it's also with the fact that I think the way that we've been kind of conditioned as consumers as of the last, 10, maybe even 20 years, we don't have as much sentimental value to any of the things that we buy. It's all like an investment. Like I'm buying the watch because it's worth this. I mean, I think that you, like your watch, you have a sentimental value to it, but I think a lot of people have it for a different reason.
Right.
And so what I think happened in the motorcycling thing the last year is that when these body styles changed, and they did it before, it happened in 2013, 14 when the Rushmore stuff came out.
Yep.
All of a sudden, there wasn't as much of a shift to where nobody wanted the pre-Road Glide style as it is now. Yeah. But it almost seems like these are bastard stepchildren now of motorcycles compared to the new body styles. You know?
And I do think, and I don't know if it's just because of the what we were talking about with the economy and inflation and stuff like that, but I do feel like there's this shift of people not really wanting other people's custom stuff anymore. Or it's not as common to have someone be willing to pay for
that makes sense.
Because like if I went to go sell my bike, I've had it now for a few years and it has a meaning to me. But if someone saw that bike out with someone else, like most likely, if they know me.
Oh, is Jake here?
Yeah. Oh, that's Jake's bike. That's Jake's old bike. So there's this if you've built a bike and you've kept it for a reasonable amount of time and then you try to sell it, just the market's not there, no matter the body style. I think even if you had it on the newer body styles, if you built it just to build it and then turn around and sell it to where like it really wasn't yours for that long, probably a different story. But I think if you rode it for 6 months to a year and like, blasted it all over Instagram,
that's a good point.
I think that people like just don't want to spend the money on a custom bike that's like, that's not really mine. Except for Dwayne. Dwayne likes to buy other people's custom bikes.
Dwayne's from El Paso, so there's that.
I don't know. Dwayne's the only dude I know that can buy a custom done bike and actually make it more famous than it was than the guy that actually
That's a
built
fair
it.
point.
Well, because he rides everywhere.
Right,
He is
right.
everywhere. The dude is literally everywhere.
That's a really good point. I actually never really thought it that way. That because everything's so publicized through social media, as opposed to maybe if we go back before social media was a big thing, like you build a bike, it's in a magazine, then you sell it. Some dude, in Iowa going to a local bike night, it's not going to be like, oh, that's fucking so-and-so's bike. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Maybe
the bike, not the person.
Yeah. And so now, that's a really good point that I think these are the kind of things I think come into play that make it to where you kind of have to rethink how you do this custom motorcycle thing if you want to be a business in it. You know what I mean?
And I truly think too, the thing that makes all of this is the paint.
Yeah.
If you just built up a bike and didn't paint it, you could probably sell it pretty quickly just because once the paint's on it, that's a thumbprint of whose bike it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I have a little different take on.
What do you think?
Those bikes are to me, it's a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The builder, the creator, the collaboration between, let's just say it's the owner and the builder. But to me, that bike is a timepiece. It's a piece of art. It's, I know it's comparing apples to oranges, but it'd be like buying a West Coast Choppers bike or a Billy Lane bike or an Indy, and then like, I'm going to paint it and do my own twist on it. It just seems sacrilegious to me. So I think that, for me personally, and that's just me personally, if I bought, let's say I bought Jake's bike, it would feel rude to do anything different to it.
Well, there's got to be a mental reason why, like, you probably have a better thought figured out because I have an idea, but it's not really formed yet.
It's okay. No, I was going to say, I agree with you in the sense of that, but what I think we're saying the same things, but we have like different points on it. I just think the appetite to buy someone else's custom bike isn't as prominent.
No. I mean, it's a very niche market. That's, somebody that's going to do that and then not alter it at all. Most people are, well, it's got the cool kid parts that I want, but here's my vision for it.
And to your point, I think there's only a handful of builders out there that would build a bike and, you could demand top dollar for it, as far as because of their name behind it.
A lot of the, air quotes performance motorcycles aren't really exactly built solely by a brand or a shop either. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is like, okay, well, I'm building this bike or I'm having it, I'm having certain things done by certain people, but it's kind of a village, a lot of people coming together to help build something. You know what I mean? It's not like, like say if you take My Machinist like Mint bike, like that's a bike that he built in his shop. That's a build from him,
right? As
opposed to I'm trying to think of a good example of a known bike without like making it sound like I'm trying to talk shit or anything like that. But for instance, like if you take where I bought this bike, I'm customizing, but I'm going to take it to Forever Rad to do a couple things. Then I'm going to go take it to Speed Dealer to have a swing arm put on. And then I'm going to go to Texas Performance to get it tuned. It's kind of like, that's like a customer built bike as opposed to a brand built bike.
Right.
You know what I mean?
By the way, speaking of Dwayne, I think probably shouldn't be throwing, actually, you know what, Dwayne, I don't care. I think he's switching up the paint job on that green bike for Daytona.
Yeah, I think it took a year to make it happen, but apparently the Polaride is helping fund that.
Oh, 100%. You want to talk about like sad watching that happen? I was sitting with Dwayne when that happened. And like we watched the tow truck put it up there and this dude had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there and all of a sudden he goes to make the first turn. He doesn't even get it out of the parking lot and the bike just goes over on its side. And we're just like, Dwayne told me he was happy I was there because I was sitting there making jokes about it because he was fucking pissed.
Oh yeah.
But he was like, the laughing about it just made him like realize like it's not that serious. It's not the end of the world. It's just a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And it did. It took him a while because of the insurance with the tow company. And, you know, what do you mean this is all carbon fiber and it's going to cost X amount of dollars?
Oh, I'm sure they were having a fucking stroke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that dude still works there anymore.
I'm sure he does. He's just like, I'm not towing another fucking motorcycle.
Right.
The guy even said that day, he was like, man, we don't ever pick these up on their wheels. Like they usually just winch it up because it's usually at a wreck.
Right.
I mean, we were out by long.
What happened again to why his bike stopped working?
So basically the understanding of him is, so he trailered out here and
to Dallas
and then rode from Dallas to Shreveport. And apparently, and it's just something with the humidity or air fuel mixture or whatever, like in the,
so it's a turbo
in
issue.
the tune. Yeah. I kind of want to throw that out there a little
bit.
Yeah. So it basically ran like, and he was going through 6 gallons of fuel in like 30 miles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember this now.
He ran out of gas on was that 30? Is that what we take out?
Yeah,
20.
So we were on 20. He literally had to fill up when he left Dallas to go to Buc-ee's. And then by the time he made it to Longview, he was like running out of fuel.
No, he ran out. I had to go buy a gas can and fill it up and then go back and fill him up. And then he filled back up at that gas station that we always meet at there in
Kilgore.
Yeah. And then
no, he didn't even make it that far.
And I don't even think he made it to Shreveport again.
No. So you fired the bike up. He went like a couple more miles. It shut off again.
Yeah.
Like it was bad.
So then all that stuff happened where the bike tipped over, and then he obviously just trailered it back to El Paso, and then once he got it there, started up and it ran fine. So.
Likes that El Paso air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he
well,
said
it was too. Yeah.
Yeah, he said something to do with like the mass airflow sensor, the way that it was working, and the ECU just was not jiving.
He got a new paint job out of it.
Exactly. And I think he said it's going red. I think.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to like. Yeah, it'll be just awesome to see it happen. I think it'd be cool one day if Dwayne built his own bike from somebody, you know,
and doesn't have, well, now he won't have an Australian flag on it.
Yeah. Well, I think what Dwayne did in buying the bikes he's done and ridden it, I think, like, to his point, for sure, we all know Dwayne and the bikes more than we know whoever it was before now.
Yep.
But he likes to be this guy that's like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm into bikes next year. It's like, shut up, dude. You're gonna be into fucking bikes next year.
Are you serious?
Like you're fucking hooked, like we all are. Just fucking
you can't keep him
hanker
off of
down.
him.
Yeah.
Dude.
He is everywhere all the time. He's Where's Waldo?
And always in a good
That's
mood.
exactly what it is.
Always in a good mood.
He is.
Always.
He is a bundle of joy.
Yeah.
He's fun, man.
Yeah.
Guy always makes me smile every time I see him. Always makes me smile. Yeah. He's fucking fun,
You can
dude.
definitely bring a down moment, like freaking.
He was fun, like on our trip when we went to Born Free. I think
Absolutely.
he brought I think, you, Matt, and I, we had a good thing going.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dwayne was like another personality in the mix that kind of like just could take things in different directions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Devin, because he came in here a little early. We were kind of running a few errands. Like, I'm working on this YouTube video right now that's initially was going to be a whole video talking about this whole trip this summer. But now I've kind of backed it up into like I'm just going to get my feet wet making another YouTube video. And so I spent like 3 hours yesterday writing not so much a script, but an outline of like the trip and some things that I remember. And I was kind of talking about some certain points of like the beginning of our trip headed to Born Free and linking up with Dwayne and going through Sedona and Whiskey Row and the hot going into Havasu. And man, I kind of got lost in writing and just kind of like put myself back in that spot. And I was, so it's like fresh on my mind bringing up Dwayne. I was thinking about like our time on that trip. So
there's so many details you forget about. Like even like some of those, I remember like going up to Jerome. I mean, we were thinking about how like there's a moment where we're like, oh, we don't want to go to, Jerome's out of the way. We're not going to do it. And then we did it. And I thought it was a rad, like going up to Jerome, like feeling like very European city style. That was super cool seeing that that whacked out chick too, like dancing around on the streets. Like those are like those little details that you forget about. But then once we left the winery, that's one of the best roads ever.
Yes.
And would have never thought that.
Yep. So we were in Albuquerque, you know, for context, when I started this 7-week trip, Jake and Matt left with me out of Dallas, and we went to Albuquerque to do the T-Bar Tuesday there. Fucking awesome time. That they got a great bike night going out there too.
They got a cool scene, man. I love that town.
And that next day, you know, we were all kind of hanging out. I think Matt had done a lot of the Sedona, Prescott, and all that kind of stuff. And I've never done it before because it's always kind of like off the beaten path of like the direction I'm going. Because originally we were going to do Monument Valley.
Yep.
And then, you know,
so hot.
It was hot. But, you know, for me, and this is what I was kind of coming to when I was writing this kind of outline was I'm trying to do a trip to experience new things, but I'm sitting here forcing myself to go do the same shit I do all the time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
True.
So it was a good like first time experience to go do that. All I remember, and I kept writing this, and I was trying not to be a negative Nancy, but I didn't like Sedona. I didn't like the ride through that. I didn't give a shit about it, but I loved Jerome.
Well, I think Sedona would have been better without the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just because that road, we were just in stop and go traffic. You had all the people like
on the side of the highway,
side of the highway. Yeah. So like, and then once you get to, it was definitely, the city was very touristy. I mean, once we had that lunch, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good views there, but it was just packed and people everywhere. I think it's just the tourist aspect that made Sedona not great.
Yeah. Like going through all that stuff and like trying to talk about it, and, you know, that's why I'm glad I didn't like jump into like trying to make something off of that trip as soon as I got home, because now I look back on it in a much different way than I would have if it was just like 3 weeks ago. Right. You know?
Yep.
Not that I'm like negative or positive about it, but it's just more reminiscent.
Yeah.
Right.
To think of it. And
that Prescott was a blast.
Loved Prescott.
Yeah.
That was a fun time.
Yeah.
Good food, good bar, not a lot of people, cool old school hotel.
Exactly.
And one of the best, absolutely probably the best roads in Arizona once we left Prescott heading out.
Yep.
Cars got out of the way and let you pass them on these curves like ripping.
Oh, so they know what's up.
And not only that, but do you remember that one time that like service truck kind of tried to like do the curves with us?
I feel like he was leading the pack for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was like, bro, if you fly off the side of this mountain, I'm not stopping.
Yeah, bro. But no, that was a great, I don't know. It was a good time this summer, but I don't know, man. Wild year.
Years are always wild.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Does it get better as you get older, or does it just get wilder?
No. I've turned into more of a recluse. I think that's
But I feel like I see you more.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, fuck, I've known you for years and years and years, and I feel like you're more. I see you more places than I ever have before.
Well, I have the time now.
Oh, okay.
But it's but it's also okay. Well, I know I'm going to do these 5 or 6 things.
Trips, yeah.
So they're if I don't ride a whole lot, you know, because I'm kind of just over riding around Dallas. I mean, it just gets to be such an ass whooping. So my only escape is to, well, at least I know I got this, you know, this trip or that trip. And so, you know, I was really upset last year what the dates fell for the Polaride, because I had spent a whole year. I had such a good time the year before. I was really excited to do it again. And then the dates fell when they did. And I'm like, fuck. So I'm hoping I can make it this year. But
every year I come back from the Polaride, I'm like, I'm not going next year. Because I'm always so hungover.
Dude, it was.
But then when it gets now this time, I'm like,
I
wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss it.
I mean, it's such a short weekend, but I had one of the best times with, you know, the Arkansas guys and all the Texas guys, and you know, I had to live through it, you know, vicariously through social media, watching the previous years. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it this year. And man, it totally exceeded all the expectations. It was so fun.
Yeah.
You know, I had such a great time with everyone. And it was literally a blur, because it's like, as soon as we get to the hotel, I mean, it's, it's like everybody's crossing the starting.
It's go time. It's go time.
Oh yeah.
God, dude, the mad rush to the bar, and then it just escalated from there.
Yeah.
You know, watching all of us just troll around from the hotel, and what they had Mardi Gras going on at the time. That year.
That year was the same weekend as Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
The kickoff of Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was wild. But yeah, that ride home was pretty brutal. That next morning,
It was the
pretty
worst.
rough.
I mean, it's the whole concept of a Polaride, you know,
Right.
Like
Right.
it's whatever the weather. Which I'll be honest with you, if I do it this year, I'm not riding.
You gonna
I'm
van it?
No, I'll drive. I heated seats, baby.
Right.
I think the concept is exactly. I mean, it's perfect. It's it's hey, look, let's all meet up and all bring a couple states together to party in this one town, regardless of what the weather looks like. And the first year it rained. Also on the way home, we had a decent weather, but then the next day afterwards, it fucking Alaska started.
Oh
You know, whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we kind of missed it by a week. Otherwise, it would have been like,
Could you
we-
imagine?
We
if
might
that
have been
was
stuck
1 week
there.
later.
Yeah.
or a couple days later. What was I just gonna say? So 2 years ago, and I don't know if the first 2 years were like this. Obviously, I didn't make those, but years 3 and 4 have been. The ride out there has been basically lawlessness.
Yeah.
It's and I don't know if it like means there should be that, but yeah, if it's one of those rides where if you're not super comfortable with riding extremely fast and or a little risky, just hang back towards
Yeah.
the back page.
I don't think I got freaked out with the riding situation until we left the restaurant in Shreveport, and
Yeah.
everybody was going to the hotel
Oh
because,
yeah,
dude, that was so. We're
we
all at
pick
the
up a
rest-
lot more people then too.
Yeah, we picked up everybody from Arkansas, and then it's like when everybody gets on the freeway, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" It looked
know.
like bees, like somebody had swatted a fucking beehive,
Yeah.
and there are just bikes all over the freeway. Nobody gave two fucks about anything that was going on.
So
It was
this
the wildest
past year, same thing. I was leading. I had Brent from Houston, and we were getting on that interstate on that entrance ramp, and I was doing 110 or 120 on the entrance ramp. I got on, and there's a freaking cop right there. I slam on everything because, and I didn't like get obviously even down to the speed limit. And I don't know if he just saw the amount of bikes or whatever, but he never came after us.
He was like, "Fuck this."
Right.
Not today.
Yeah.
Not today. Yeah. No. But I mean, that's the only time the ride up there. I mean, everybody was, short of freezing their ass off. Everybody was, we were all just in a nice organized, we were clipping, 100, 110. Everybody was clipping along pretty good.
And I think that year it was definitely 32 degrees when we left,
fucking freezing.
and it was maybe even like drizzling a little bit.
Yep.
But then the ride home was like 50.
Yep.
Yeah.
The next day it was like great.
It was wonderful.
Well, wonderful weather-wise. It was, the hangover was not wonderful.
It
The
adds a-
hangover.
it
I
couldn't
couldn't hear for fucking 2 days riding next to your bike
That's
all the way
right.
home.
That's
I
right.
was like, "Oh, this bike sounds so good." And then about like hour 1, I'm like, beep. 2 days after, beep.
Man, I haven't had a chance to go to the last two of them when they brought it back to Shreveport. First one was badass. That was during COVID. That was 2020, or actually 2021. 22, we did Oklahoma City, and it was the wildest part of that was that we all went to Windstar across the border
Yep.
Friday night and got obliterated.
Wasn't that the bike incident? Wasn't that in Oklahoma
No,
City?
that was the first year of the Polaride.
Okay.
When the dude from the bar in Arkansas brought his old lady,
Yes.
and then they had a fight. She
Yes.
came back and kicked over bikes.
Yeah.
She was
Oh,
like
really?
the podcast, the first Polaride recap podcast. The thumbnail is her mugshot
Yes, that's right.
from the Polaride,
That's awesome.
and it was that night. I think it was Wheelo and King Tony came in to do the podcast, and we were getting fucked up in here. And then he's like, "You know what? We're gonna drive back home to Little Rock tonight. It's 12 o'clock at night. It's a 6-hour drive home."
Yeah.
But that's the night that the storm came through and started.
So they just missed it.
Yes, they would have been stuck here for a week.
Oh, easily.
Dude.
But it was I don't know, man. It was fucking fun. I think I think we talked about this in the last one, but the Nitty-Gritty this year was a fucking amazing time. I think we're going to lean into that pretty heavy this year.
I'm excited for that this year.
It's in June,
March.
It's like
late March.
20th. Right. It's like
Yeah.
like that weekend, whatever that weekend is. Yeah.
I had a great time last year. It was a perfect time of year, good weather, good camping weather in Texas. The blue bonnets are out, which I know that sounds a little gay, but
Leading to that.
Dude, in hill country, if you can catch, they're almost all but gone here.
Yeah.
You have to drive so far outside of Dallas to even see big spreads of it. But you get down to hill country and it's fucking epic.
Yeah.
dude, we're lucky on this side of town. We have don't we have a blue bonnet loop over here that's pretty gnarly?
You should over here. I mean, it's still pretty.
This
rural
is
over here.
this is kind of the tail end though of hill country, even a little bit. You can make that argument.
Yeah, once you get over to like Glen Rose, that's like the north side.
The north side of it, yeah. But yeah, when the blue bonnets are in bloom down there, and then the Indian blankets are right after that, it's fucking epic, dude.
I love that shit. It's just interesting. I don't know. I feel like the older I get, the more I'm like interested in this basic ass stuff. That's like, oh, the fall leaf colors are coming in. I just want to get some pictures of my bike with the orange and the yellows and the reds.
I don't know. I have a real affinity for hill country. I've been going there for so many years, and I love that entire area. So any excuse I have to go down there, I'll take it.
But now Nitty-Gritty's not. I mean, that's kind of like more east, right?
It's more east, but it's I think you guys are gonna find if you. I know you're coming. If you end up coming out, like this venue is badass. It's got an aesthetic to it that makes for. I'm trying to figure out how the best way to put it. What we're actually doing. This was Devin's idea, but Devin kind of encouraged me through one of the Garage Talk podcasts we did about reaching out to the guys and seeing if we can bring a fast life element to Nitty-Gritty. Right. And it kind of opened up an idea of, with us ending the camp out this year, like maybe we can take things like our camp out and some of the vibes we created there and apply them to other events and piggyback on other events instead of just trying to do our own thing. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the concept of what we're going to try to do with Nitty-Gritty. We're going to put together, and this is also through inspiration through like Taylor with Shifter Crew, try to put together a real performance motorcycle show where we'll have real judges and real awards and, real shit. And it's not going to be like, oh, this is my buddy and he's going to pick his favorite bike, but like, judge a motherfucking bike and say, this is the baddest road glide in Texas. This is the baddest FXR in Texas. That's what I want to try to do with this event. But this event also has camp out vibes. So lean into that, and all the people that's like, oh, the camp out's over. What are we going to do? Come to Nitty-Gritty. We're going to have the same vibe there, and you can still do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the concept, I guess, right now.
Hey, look, if there's, I know everybody was, oh man, it's a bummer. It's the last one. I'm like, it's not the last. It's just gonna be different. We're all still gonna link up this time of year. Everybody's already got the itch, and there's lots of other things that are going on that you can just, you can piggyback off of. So all I got to know is that, okay, all the homies are gonna be there. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
So, because I already started getting the itch, March, April. So this one starts hitting in March. If it's going to be in March, I know I have it marked on my calendar. So
yeah,
and I know if it's something I don't have to get an Airbnb, like I can just show up with my tent and I just ride down there and camp, even if it's just like I peel out last minute by myself.
Yep.
And I already know the homies are going to be down there. I'm set.
Yeah.
So the way I'm thinking about, since I got a cabin there, I think I'm gonna bring the PA system, my smoker,
sick,
and get a little party going on.
Fuck yeah, that's exactly the kind of shit.
I gotta let Adam know. Vincent too. Vincent, bring the food truck.
Right. Vincent, he's actually scheduled to have the food truck there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah, that's awesome. God bless that dude, man.
Yeah, I was telling Devin at lunch before you guys showed up. It's like What I really enjoy about our scene right now, our Dallas scene, our T-Bar Tuesday group, is that, you know, there's just a lot of people. I've always liked to look at it like this. Let me try to paint this picture for you guys. Bike night it's the fucking table in the longhouse, right? That we all eat from. And the more people that put shit on the table for us all to eat, the better our feast and the better our fucking community is. And right now we have so many dudes like, you know, what Adam and you guys do, everybody in this room, what Devin's doing, what we try to do with our brand, what Vince is doing with the Moto Loco Tacos, Ramon with his photography. We have so many people that are bringing something to the table and helping create our scene to make it not be like, oh, that's Jace's bike night. You know what I mean? Which is kind of like what I've been wanting to get away from.
Right.
I want it to be our thing, and I want it to be our community that we all put together on. And I'm part of that, obviously, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, and we have something really great going on right now. There's so much enthusiasm.
It is really special. And to be this long into it.
Yeah.
And to see how much it's grown,
yeah.
even with all everything that's happened, you know, COVID, and then, you know, people come and go, and venues have changed over the years, but to find, you know, we're just in a really good spot, and the people that it's attracted,
yeah,
it just seems to kind of level up. And so if I look at what this went from, you know, those early days at Anvil, and was just, you know, just a handful of knuckleheads that are making a commitment to show up.
Yeah.
And then to what it's burgeoned into, and then what the people that come into this contribute. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel I know how blessed I am. I know what that would be like. I know what it was like. I mean, it's why I started going to Anvil originally, because you're just going to regular bike nights, which is, you know, full of hog chapter. And not that there's anything wrong with that. That's their own community. But, you know, it's the leather daddy crowd. And you know, there's big age gaps. So, you know, there's cultural differences and motorcycle differences. So, it was so nice. And it was especially, you know, probably being one of the oldest guys at the bike night, seeing so many young people there.
Yeah.
And so enthusiastic, and had great ideas, and, you know, were willing to be there consistently. And now it's just set up that everybody just kind of knows, you know, Trey does a great job running the account and, you know, putting it up every Tuesday. And if you can't make it, it's okay. There'll be people there. It's a home for so many people that are like, you know, I know somebody will be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I look at it kind of like Strokers, you know, like I can go to Strokers anytime and I'll probably run into somebody I know.
Yeah.
Same thing with bike night. Bike night's the same way. I don't have to go all the time, but I know when I go, all my dudes are going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy that you say, like, you know, there's always going to be someone there. And I agree with you on that. But what's cool about where the bike night has become now is I remember 3 years ago, there's definitely a couple bike nights, mainly in the wintertime, but there's 4 of us. And that was it. I don't know if you would ever get only 4 people today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's going to probably be at least 10 or 15.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every week. So it's
Fuck
cool.
yeah, there was, like, I feel like, I mean, that's always been the concept, you know, it's like rain, shine, sleet, snow. It's like this bike night is there for us all. And it's there when you need it, and when you don't need it, think about that.
Yep.
Be there for somebody else.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, like it's one of the only consistent things I do in my life is show up to bike night every Tuesday. If I'm in town, I pretty much am there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
it's like that old saying, you know, like, I hope you win the battles you don't tell anyone about. That type of a thing. It's like, that's what bike night becomes.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're battling something at that moment or not, someone is.
Exactly. And if you get to go up there and listen to them and hear them out and, you know, fucking offer, you know, maybe some unsolicited advice like I like to do, then, you know, it's a great, it's community building, man. And it's like, you know, we've been, you know, we talk about obviously we have this platform to kind of project this bike night concept to the world. And I think when a lot of people come to town, I always like, hey, look, you're coming to the bike night, but I want you to understand, like, it's not it's not you pull up to this area and there's 500 motorcycles out front. It's not that. It's you pull up to this area and there's fucking 10 bikes out front. There's maybe 20 people that are part of this, and you're going to talk to all of them and you're going to get to know them. I guarantee you that 500 person bike night, you probably might not even talk to 5 people at it.
No.
Well, prime example, I went to that sport bike night once, and we only talked I mean, not that I probably could have done more to make a conversation with someone, but it was never it was Kano and I, and we just hung out together. It's like we didn't talk to anyone else.
I've got a similar situation. I went to that bike night too at their new shop, and you want to talk about feeling like uncomfortable. Like I didn't feel like I vibed with anybody. You want to talk about feeling like the old man out of place? Because I know you've been there. So the age demographic is way different.
For sure.
We went on a Halloween night, so it was a bunch of like kids in Halloween costumes. It felt so awkward and uncomfortable. I was like, me and Anthony went, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm about over this.
Yeah.
There were some cool bikes. You see a couple cool bikes, but I was like, this is definitely not what I.
They got a lot of people though.
Yeah. It had a fuckload of people.
Actually, remember that time we were at Love and War and we're like, where are all these sport bikes going?
Yep.
It was
that was bike night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were, I mean, that's just.
And the guy that owns the shop, he's really cool. Like he's a rad dude. He wants to do more Harley stuff. I just don't like. I want to support you because you seem like a cool dude, but like it's just a different vibe. That is a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Without going into details about the person, it's kind of crazy if you really think about it. Like, what you guys are saying is right. Bike night is well more about the people. Like, literally, we have a friend that goes to bike night that is in a bad situation, and because of the friendships and community we've built, we're helping work him through that. Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like, without bike night, would he know all these people or have these resources? Probably, maybe not. Maybe not. Right?
We don't know. We don't know.
And here's the thing too, is like when it comes down to like going through a tough time, even just talking,
100%,
whether it's about that scenario or something else, helps you feel better. So, I mean, it's incredible how much that helps you as a person.
Even if it's just a distraction for the night.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's I always think it's bizarre too, because everybody's, my son-in-law, I love his, perception. He has, no idea. Right.
Yeah.
He thinks like, because we went to CBC after dinner Thursday night. So he's like, oh, is this where your club meets? And I was like, God damn it. It's not a fucking, it's not a club. We're not a fucking biker gang. It's not a club. We're just a bunch of nerds that fucking ride motorcycles and spend, and like to work on them. That's really it. We just have a deep appreciation for this particular style of motorcycle. And this is where we hang out. That's it. And we've just happened to become like really close friends as a direct result of that. So I said that's literally what it is. That's all.
When you can apply consistency to certain aspects of things you do in your life, then it becomes part of your life, right? And so the same way consistently you wake up and you go work out, the same way you consistently show up at a bike night and converse with people, it becomes a part of your life to where you feel obligated to show up.
Right.
And so that's the concept. That's why we do it every week and not once a month.
Right.
That's why it's there all the time at your convenience, so that you can apply those, that shit I just said to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's the location's great. The spot that we're in currently, I think, has probably been one of the best so far, in my opinion. I love that place.
Yeah. It checks all the boxes.
It does. It's so weird because, I went to all the places around there except CBC, but it was like, oh, well, that's where all the chopper kids hang out.
Yeah.
Because, back 3 or 4 years ago, if you went by there, that's all you saw. All the chopper dudes there. They were all parked up on the sidewalk. So it was just, it's kind of almost full circle that, that's where we end up, And
a motorcycle friendly place.
Well, and I don't think I knew I didn't know at the time that, because I'd go to the Fillmore all the time in Plano, and Elwood when it opened, and had no idea that was all same owner.
Yeah.
So even more of a reason to go and support
and he's
the place.
been incredibly the hospitality of us being there.
Oh, he's awesome.
Is awesome.
Yeah, and the bar staff's amazing.
Yep.
I was gonna say, like, it's crazy because like Danny and Rodney have become as much a part of bike night
Oh yeah.
as anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
if you haven't been there, they're gonna know right away. How you been? They're gonna ask how you are, how things are going. Like,
Yeah.
they are just as much a part of it as anybody that attends.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact how much I know this is like fairly typical of like good bartenders, but I mean they remember your drinks well.
Yep.
They don't even take my card up front anymore.
Yeah.
And they haven't done that for maybe I don't know how long we've been there. Like maybe the first 2 or 3 times we were there, they did, and after that, they haven't taken a card until the very end.
Yep.
So yeah, just the trust that they have in us is, and we got to protect that too.
Yeah. We tip well.
We
tip well, and we, like I look at it like, they depend on us to make a paycheck every week. Not depend on us like we're the only ones, but when we show up every Tuesday, we're guaranteeing them, some level of like income.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have the regulars anyway, but now it's like this little shot in the arm, this nice boost.
Yeah.
And
I would say we are the regulars now.
And I definitely
for
think
sure.
I
sure.
mean, I definitely think we get prioritized a little bit too. Like, they make sure that they don't usually walk around all the time, and they'll make sure your drink gets filled. They're going to make sure they bring the food out. Like they do a great job taking care of us.
Yeah. It's an awesome place, man. Super blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when, we have some guys that come out and, burnouts, do some stunts, things like that, like no issue.
They're out there videoing with us.
Yeah. But I mean, we're in a sweet part of, Deep Ellum, like a really close to 30. It's like no man's land, right? Like nobody gives a shit about that part of Deep Ellum.
I feel like we could watch a murder take place at 7-Eleven across the street, and we could probably have 2 beers before the cops show up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There'll be cops drive by, but they're on another thing.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll be at this one.
Right.
That's
they're following behind the ambulance. That's going
not
to
my
the
job
Right.
kind of thing.
There
right?
was one Tuesday, I think it was a Tuesday, that remember like there was cops posted up everywhere for some reason.
Wasn't that the time when they were trying to stop all the takeovers, the burnout takeovers?
I think
time?
so. Because like even across the street, like next to 7-Eleven in that parking lot, there were like 2 cop cars just like sitting there. And we were like, man, I don't remember. It was only that one day that
yeah,
happened.
I remember that. That was a strange night.
Yeah.
We're on the, it's like the back door to Baylor, so like it's literally no man's land. Cause if you cross over 30, you're for sure. No, it's no man's land. That whole corridor, about a mile.
Well, if you
or
get shot,
so
they
off
expect you to just walk over to Baylor yourself.
Hey, you're close enough. You can hobble over.
Bump it out. You can make it happen.
No,
Do you want to live?
They're taking your ass to Parkland. You got a long haul, son.
Yeah.
You're going over to West Dallas.
What so individually, what do you think like was your best, your most memorable trips or memorable events or whatever that it could be something local, whatever. Like what was the one this year that you're like, man, I keep going back to that time,
I'm still, for me, it's Sturgis, but I'm still a Sturgis virgin. So,
Maybe it's still a Sturgis virgin.
well, I mean, it's only 2 years in.
Oh.
So, but we did different routes this time.
His first one was last year when it rained everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So he didn't really
I-
get to do
I
the
don't-
rides.
No, we still rode, dude. I didn't give a fuck. No, I still say Sturgis. We did some different routes this year, and
Are you ever gonna take a year and make sure you ride there?
I don't know.
I'm not talking shit.
As long as I'm going with Corey and Shane, probably not.
Yeah.
Fair.
Probably not. I really enjoy hanging out with those dudes and the conversations because we just blast there. I mean, we're haul. We don't stop. We stop for gas and that's it.
Yep.
So it's trying to get there as fast as we can to maximize our time in there and like that's where the riding is spent. Now kudos to anybody that rides there and back.
Yeah.
I think that shit's super gangster. But I'm just kind of along for the ride as far as getting there and having a place to stay. So I guess as long as I'm riding Corey and Shane's coattails, I'll probably always just be trailing up there. But it was finding new route. How it is when you go the same way, just like you were saying earlier, right? Like when you guys are going out to Born Free, you're like, hey, really, you just kind of have your heart set on like, I want to go to Monument Valley because that's what I always do, right? Like you get these loops set in your head, like, well, this is my experience there. I want it to be the same as last year, so I'm gonna do the same routes. And this year we just mixed things up and did things a little bit different. We had a lot better weather, so we had more time to spend doing some different things. So I couldn't imagine it trumping the first year I went, and this one was I felt like I got to spend more time with more of my friends while we were there. Yeah. The Thunderdome was so fun. Yep. When we were in Deadwood at the show there, getting to see everybody there at the V-Twin was V-Twin
Yeah, it's a V-Twin showcase thing.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then, like I said, just the different routes we went. And the best part was watching Corey bully Shane out of a twin cam and into an M8. That was the best shit ever. Oh man, I thought, man, Corey, just leave the dude alone.
Corey's a bully, dude.
Just let him.
He's the nicest, most polite and punctual bully.
He does it with a smile the whole time.
You just bully me with good grammar. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Look, he can. I call it grouchy. He can get grouchy. But when we were in Texas, when we went last year just to go to hill country, you're supposed to be Texas Hills, but we went anyway.
Right.
And we had this really amazing house that we stayed in, and I think it was his bedroom. And you know how Corey is about his sleep, right? Like.
Not yet. I've never been around the man when he needs to get sleep.
So like the tent camping thing, like he has a hard time going. He'll take a Benadryl so he can pass out because it's always so noisy at the campouts and stuff. So so I thought, okay, well, this is no problem. We're in this nice house. He's got his own room. It's, nobody's staying up late making noise or anything like that. So you can get up the next morning and I go in the fucking kitchen and there's a smoke alarm just laying on the fucking counter. And he's already up and he's like, he's fucking not in a good mood because he barely got any sleep because this fucking smoke alarm just started beep.
The 9-volt was going dead. Oh, man, that's the worst
and then he
thing
had to
ever.
Figure out a way. I don't know. I can't remember how he got up to the ceiling to take it off. Oh man, he was fucking not a happy camper.
So the problem is now, like all the new ones, if you try to take the battery
hardwired.
out, it's hardwired. It will not shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, that's a conversation like Corey and I, because we were somewhere and one of them went out at his house. And so we're out of town. So his wife's like, so he had to call somebody over. He's got huge vaulted ceilings. Yeah. So they had to come over with a ladder. It was a whole thing. And, I was like, don't you change yours every Labor Day? And he's looking at me. He's like, what? I said, yeah, that's kind of like Labor Day is like my mental thing. Like, oh, I got to change all my batteries.
So this is a good point as far as like, especially traveling to motorcycle events, because actually last year Daytona, the same thing happened to me. And going forward, I'm going to pack 9-volt batteries with me in case that shit happens again.
So it happened at the place you were staying at?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
and I literally took the thing off and like threw it outside.
so the
$2,000 charge on Airbnb.
Right.
The new so I had one that went out. So Labor Day, I'm going and changing everything. And I had one that had gone bad. And I was like, fuck, I just put batteries in this stupid thing. So I pull it down and I'm like, well, let me run to Home Depot and go get some new ones. Well, all the new ones now, no 9-volt batteries. They're all lithium.
Yeah.
And they have a lifespan that's built into it and no hardwire anymore. Mm-hmm. So they don't let you, if your house is hardwired for CO2 and smoke alarms, that plug doesn't work anymore. Oh. So you just, as soon as you click it in, it activates that lithium battery, and I think they have a 5-year lifespan that's on them.
So you gotta smash it if it starts beeping.
Yeah. That is the most annoying shit in the world. But yeah, he was not a happy camper that night. I was like,
well, I was glad that you got to experience Sturgis with a little sunshine. It was hot this year.
It was super hot.
It was that I still apologize for not sticking it out with the guys at the campground, because I do really, really enjoy the days in campground.
It was hot as balls, man.
I bought my wife a ticket to fly to Sturgis midway through my trip. And so, if I hadn't done that, I would have 100% just stayed there and stuck it out. But I was trying to get laid, dude. I was trying to get some. I've been on the road.
I was gonna say, you've been on the road for a long time. I get that. But at night, it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't that
night
hot.
was good. Yeah.
It wasn't that hot. But I will say, like, my deodorant completely melted in the tent during the day. So that's why after that first day, I left my like tent things like wide open. So like there was some airflow at least.
But do you get like the gist of why I preached about like that campground and the fun to it?
Absolutely.
The heat, obviously, you're rolling the dice with the kind of weather you're going to get every year. But
yeah, and also, I don't know what day we've actually got there pretty early and got a decent spot, but I would have liked to have been just a little bit farther down to where our tents were in the shade the entire day.
Yes.
So like if we, I don't know what it would have taken for us to get there to guarantee that spot.
I think for sure we could have just found another spot close to that bathroom.
Yeah.
But over the years, that's just kind of been the area that we've kind of commandeered. And, but yeah, there was a big fucking opening of like no tree cover.
But like even just, 100 feet down from us was shaded all day long. So like that would have made a big difference for us. But no, the campground, the what they did with the bar, and granted I wasn't there the previous years, but just seeing what it was and what it would have been outside, like what I saw the improvements of this year.
Yeah,
that bar was a great time and super cheap drinks.
Yeah,
I mean,
not some one-eyed Jack shit.
No, yeah, you go to One-Eyed Jack's and you're literally paying $18 a drink.
Yeah.
And then
everything on the strip.
Yeah.
I mean, just get ready.
Yeah, because you go to the strip in Deadwood and a Coors Light's $4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the one thing too.
Inflation.
Well, right.
Well, it's the Sturgis Mafia, that whole setup that they have for any of the vendors that are downtown, you got to pay the fiddler to be there.
Yeah.
So, and look, I don't blame any of those establishments. I mean, that's just the cost of doing business down there.
Well, the thing is that yes, if you don't know and you don't know anybody and you're just going there, then yeah, you're gonna pay the tourism tax essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's the point of this talking about on the podcast, is to kind of let people know what's going on, what some options that how you can do this on the cheap. Because if you really think about it, if you stay at that Days Inn campground. What was it, like 4 days or something? It was like $300 or $150.
I said it was $150.
$150. You could drink on site the entire time and probably only have another $150 bar tab for a week.
Yeah.
And that's if you're buying drinks from the bar there.
You can buy 12 packs from the bar or drink individually.
So that was the thing too, is not only could you, and the exact numbers on this, so you could buy a beer there for like, I think $4 or so. But you could also buy a 12-pack for $12, and then you just take it away and
find a way to keep it cool. We're good.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, all the places like the Buffalo Chip, and then out by Bear Butte,
Full Throttle.
Full Throttle. Not crazy expensive. If you want, to go out there and just have beers and
go have a drink and
have a drink.
check it
It's
out,
not it's not $9 a beer.
Yeah.
And then, dude, the best one was the Thunderdome. Those
the $2 tall boys.
$2 tall boys
for an hour though. It was happy hour.
Yeah. I was talking to Cruzy 2 days ago because we were trying to get things dialed in for Austin in a couple of weeks, and we were talking about the Thunderdome, and I'll let him kind of talk about it. The Thunderdome right now, especially after talking to Cruzy, it's either going to be a flop next year because they are everything we hate, or they're going to be everything we love. The ball's in their court, because right now they're making decisions that is going to make it not the place to be next year.
Man, I hate to hear that, because last year was so fun.
Here's the issue. For a bit of context to the past, places like the Thunderdome, which used to be called the Beaver Bar, which was one of the most famous bars in the early days of, or 20 years ago in Sturgis. Like, this is a place where the biker build-offs would have their stuff and whatnot. These kind of bars would pay guys like Billy Lane or Joe Martin or Rick Fairless $10,000, $20,000 to be at their space for the weekend or a couple of days or a day, right? And now you got a guy like Cruzy who has the following he has, the YouTube that they've built, doing stunt shows, and they're trying to charge him to be there. Like he's not the one bringing in the fucking crowd.
Right.
And it's kind of a complicated situation where it's like
the Super Bowl halftime show. Because, there for a while, or there a couple of years ago, they were like, the NFL was considering charging the halftime performer. They're like, no, go pound sand. So it's the same thing as far as like, you got to take that into consideration who's bringing in your business and the entertainment value.
Yeah.
I mean, how shrewd do you have to be to do that?
The problem is that right now, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the type of bikes that we're doing right now, and just the state of being of the way custom motorcycles are. There are people in the motorcycle world that bring attention to this thing, and if it wasn't for Cruzy, and honestly, if it wasn't for LFG and Taylor at Shifter Crew, I would have never went to the Thunderdome.
Nope. Never. I wouldn't have been
100%.
there. No way.
No. So met Taylor this year on our trip after Born Free, became great friends with him, and the Shifter Crew show was kind of like the big draw. That was like, hey guys, we got to go support the homie.
Yeah,
he's one of us. You know what I'm saying? He's a fucking real dude. You know what I'm saying? So we all went. It was a fucking great time. Yes, that venue didn't have the people there at it that it could, but honestly, if dude, you know us. If we really leaned into it, between us, Shifter Crew, fucking Cruzy, and all the homies, we could turn that into the spot.
Sure.
But I'm not fucking paying you to be there.
No way.
No.
Because I either want, look, this is what Cruzy and I were talking about. So if I'm not getting the door and I'm not getting the bar, why am I bringing people to your fucking spot?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I paying you, more importantly?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that at all.
Yes.
For you to reap the benefits.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Wait,
like,
and
look,
It's so fucked. I don't even want to tell how fucked it is.
I'm sure it's I'm sure it's super.
It's
fun.
one of those like the audacity.
That's the way I look at it.
It's one of those conversations.
It is.
Well,
because look, it's a fucking huge venue, right?
Yeah.
The place is so okay. That's on you. That's on you like just decide that that if you're going to have Cruzy there or whatever you're going to put on, that's not a large enough crowd to sell enough booze to cover your spread, then that's on you, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, why don't you lean into that? Why don't you, you should be the one promoting as well as everybody else.
Yeah.
Look, that's where their money comes from. It's from
beer sales.
It's from alcohol sales, and I would even be fine if it was like, it's $9 beers. If $9 beers paid to support the motorcycle community to be there, I will buy a $9 beer.
Yeah. I'm only buying 2 or 3.
I didn't say how many. I just said that, but I would go. But I mean, if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
I'll bet those bands that play there aren't paying to play.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like, they're.
And who the fuck even remembers them?
I don't.
Yeah.
Nobody's going home going, oh, did y'all see this viral band?
Yeah.
Do
That's
this
playing
fucking
covers. That's playing covers.
Yeah, playing covers.
Dude, they really nailed Kickstart My Heart. You know what I mean? But this is like the world that we're living in right now, where you have this old guard who, it's just kind of like the way things been, the way it's always been. It's how Granddad did it, kind of bullshit. And you have this new world that's coming up. That's like, look, we need more support. I'm not here to pay you to do what you used to pay people to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you can. Yes, there might not be the money that was in the industry, 20 years ago now, but the problem is a guy like Cruzy coming in, and from what I understand, what he explained to me, and I'll let him talk about this more in the podcast when we do it. The amount of work he put in to bring certain stunt riders to the Thunderdome, he should have been getting $50,000 from this venue, right? I mean, you gotta understand, like we're talking that kind of money. We're talking like thousands, like, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 kind of deals that these venues make, because that's how many people come to the campground. You got Buffalo Chip, you got Full Throttle, and then you got the Beaver Bar or the Thunderdome, which is new owners that are trying to create this other like go-to space but they don't want to spend any money.
Well,
they want to be like, oh, here's the deal, man. You guys are gonna do like. I'll tell you. I've said this. I've been approached by a couple like places in the Southern Dakota area about doing things there, but I'm not paying you to do something at your place. I'm not getting shit for it.
No way.
Like, what's your Instagram following to your place? Oh, you don't have one? Why the fuck am I going to sit here and go out here and support you? You bring nothing of value to me. Like, if you're a gas station in Sturgis and you want to like sell, vendor spots to like go, pinstripe shit or whatever the case may be, I get it. Like, you're giving me the access to the passerbys going all day long, but there's no other draw to this spot. You know what I'm saying?
And he's providing a service too. Like,
exactly.
I mean,
the whole
the insurance they have to pull to do stunt shows is insane.
Right.
It blows my mind that we're going to charge the entertainers. I understand charging vendors, right?
Yeah.
I understand that, but
You want to be here to make money? Here's what it costs.
Here's what it costs. But to charge entertainers,
right?
And that even goes with the shows. Like if you're putting on a bike show, you're not a fucking vendor. You're not generating revenue.
Yeah.
You're putting on a bike show, which brings people in here to buy your alcohol and buy your food.
Yep.
That's your deal to make money on that.
Yeah.
You're paying me to be here to draw more people in. And everybody I saw watching the cruisy shows, so we were there long enough to see 2 stunt shows. Everybody I saw there, and look, it's a huge place. So it makes a large crowd look really small.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of people there, but it's a fucking huge place. So, once everybody gets spread out, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of people there, but I mean, all those people were there for either the bike show or for Cruisy. And most people that were there, regardless of which one, the show or Cruise, they knew or followed Cruisy. They knew that dude.
Yeah. Could you imagine how dead it would have been at the bike show?
Nobody would have been there. Nobody would have been there.
Would have been
nobody.
100%. Yeah.
Nobody.
So that's kind of like moving forward into the future. That's kind of the thing that I think this newer generation of the motorcycle industry, I'll go out on a limb and say that we don't really have the biggest support from the OGs. Like, they're not trying to bring us up the same way that we're trying to be a part of it. But it's like, well, I still love motorcycling. I still love this. And I still love what you guys did years ago. And I still want to carry this torch, even though you're not ready to pass it down. If that makes sense.
And you're right, because, look, we growing up on all the Biker Build Off series, you saw that homage, right? That's how most people knew who Indian Larry was, and Drew Perowitz. And if you didn't know who Arlen Ness was, like, that's how
Dave.
you knew that.
I thought you said Drew Barrymore.
No.
He said Drew. He did say Drew, but it's
Drew.
Dave.
Sorry, Dave Perowitz. If you didn't know who those guys,
hit, baby.
if you didn't know, I gotta slow down. If you didn't know who those guys were,
Call you Jace this time.
Yeah. Thank you. God.
No, I gotta get angry first. This motherfucker, atomic.
Don't get me started. I'm water on that one.
So, but you have this. You have this. At the time, they were all young.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, if you think what we're doing is cool, like, you got to check these guys out.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the same thing, but those guys kept the same pathway, right? Like, the motorcycle genre has changed significantly. It was still choppers back then. It was just different styles of choppers, but it was still choppers. And this whole performance segment, short of the FXR scene and guys, is really a splinter. And I there was just a lot of those guys never leaned into that.
A lot of the OGs, the ones that didn't probably invest correctly, are still trying to be players in this game. And it's hard for them to compete with the vigor and the energy of a guy like Cruzy or a Blockhead or or the New Guard, which is not the traditional bike builder like they are. Right. It's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just my hot take.
No, I think you're 100% correct. It's such a huge jump from what it is. It's a huge jump from their culture to this culture.
Yeah.
Which is online, YouTube. You know, you didn't need a network to have a show. You could just get some gear and make your own show with your homies.
Yeah.
You know, it's what we see, like you said, with Blockhead, with Crucy. It's all grassroots efforts to just put together content. And they're not even putting together content. I mean, I know there's effort put into it, but you know, they're literally just, and they're on the leading edge. And this, it was, for me, it was the most refreshing thing seeing you guys with what this performance segment, because I was like, well, this is what's going to draw in younger Harley riders.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because the do-it-yourselfer thing is, we don't see a lot of that, right? You and I, this is kind of post, you know, this is pre-internet to some degree.
Yeah.
You know, you had forums and, you know, times were different. If you wanted to have something like that, and it was tangible, right? You could build a chopper for under, you know, $10,000.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the skill set and the tools, you could build something really cool. You know, now that motorcycling has kind of changed and, you know, especially on the performance side, you can do so many different things with it, right? You can travel, you know, you can go to these different events. There's a higher price tag for that buy-in to be able to do that. And the do-it-yourselfer part of that is kind of, you know, it's just, there's more parts. They're more expensive. So you're kind of eliminating a lot of the and I don't think you see that many do-it-yourselfers. I mean, they're definitely out there and they're creating content and showing it, but it's not like it was when you and I were younger. I mean, my hope was seeing this performance segment was that it was attracting a lot of people that traditionally wouldn't be Harley riders into the Harley segment. And I had high hopes that you would see a lot of the old guard lean into that because, well, obviously you're going to start making parts for it, but all we saw were young guys that were just filling in the void and making parts for these people. And it wasn't the old guard. I mean, obviously,
the old guard tried to come in later on, but it was kind of an afterthought.
It was too late.
Yeah.
It was too late. And I get it too. It's a huge investment when you're chasing motorcycle trends, you know, when you're going from, you know, choppers to the big wheel bagger segment. And then it transverses over to all of a sudden, okay, FXRs are the new.
If I could drop a bomb, it's not hard to chase trends when you're a part of them. So if you love riding motorcycles and you're always out there and you're going to see the curve or the wave or the thing coming way before it happens.
Sure.
Because you're involved.
Right.
But when you're just sitting in the back there trying to sell more of your fucking billet parts.
Right.
You don't have any clue of what's going on in the bike nights, in the bike scenes across the country, at the events. You don't see the disdain or the enthusiasm on people's faces.
Well, and you know, I get the weariness of social media. I mean, there is a whole segment of that generation that was kind of late to the game for social media. You know, social media kind of became, especially after Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Like Facebook was the you know, there was MySpace and then there was Facebook. And then after Facebook, it was like Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. I mean,
Instagram, Snapchat.
Yes. I call it
Fucking Snapchat.
I could snatch chat.
Snapchat's a good way to get fucking canceled.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it was really hard for a lot of them to integrate that type of social media outside of a fucking website. It was difficult for them to, you know, move into the social media spectrum, whereas a lot of young people were really eager and able and capable to do that.
Well, so talk about it, like some of the transition that took place from a person that was a part of the industry. I had magazine love. Like I got a couple down there. I have a handful of magazines that I never could afford the plaques to get put out. What ended up happening was when Instagram came out, Instagram is the real culprit to really push back on magazine sales.
Yep.
It just exposed the one thing that magazines had to offer that most of us wanted, which was images.
Yep.
It
And
put
short descriptions.
Like it just, bam, it gave it to us right then. And so you have all these brands that relied on the countless magazines that chased them, right? To be a guy in the motorcycle world, to get like an in with the magazine was hard. And I can speak on this because I found ways to do that. It was not like I just built a cool bike and went to a fucking bike night or a local event and bam, I just had people hitting me up for magazines. You had to almost have a PR person working within your brand or your organization to put it out there to them to get them to notice you. And so there was like this thing where like social media came out and all of a sudden we had the opportunity to be our own magazine, our own publishers, our own everything.
Right.
And it kind of null and voided the concept of needing a magazine, which I'm saying this also as a person who loves magazines.
I do too.
You know, the magazines, the people that ran magazines is where it went south because they had a cake job. And when things changed, they didn't want to fucking work harder.
Right.
Right. And so it's like this concept of always going forward, never being able to step back.
Well, and the funding changes. The funding went to digital rather than print as far as like the advertising.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, on the advertising side, that's exactly what happened. But it also I think I'm speaking more on the terms of a lot of the people that are famous in this world never had to make their own content.
Mm-mm.
Billy Lane now he's doing a fucking great job making YouTube videos, but he never had to tell the world who he was. He just had to build a bike and show up.
Yep.
And then the world fucking made.
And someone that got paid to would explain who he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Videos, magazine photographers, editors, they exploited him to their benefit. Mm-hmm. And that's, not to say that that's what created him. I'm not trying to like null and void this dude's amazing career, but that's the difference between his world and my world, where there was nobody chasing what we did. We had to show the world. We had to figure out how to be good at that. Mm-hmm. And what I hate is when OGs try to act like we're not as good as them because of that. I'm like, oh no, you mean to tell me I had to learn how to be a fucking great bike builder, painter, whatever, and promote myself?
Right.
And photographer and publicist and promoter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only am I trying to, build this particular motorcycle, fund it, build it, but like you were saying, Devin, like I have to run my own social media platform for it. So I'm creating all the content. I got to be responsible for all the images. I've got to be responsible to showing up all the events to try to promote this thing. And then if you expand it onto YouTube channels, now you're talking about camera equipment. And then
hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be, I don't know, I guess I'm gonna go fuck myself because I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, and so that brings up, like, I have a little bit different opinion, I guess, when it comes to content creators, and I'm not hating on how.
Bro, we didn't do this right now.
No. What I'm saying though is like I don't view, so like my opinion on like anyone who wants to do it, that's great or whatever, but is if we think like, would I rather be sitting here watching you ride around the country or go ride myself? Like the way I look at YouTube is podcast is different because you can just like throw your AirPods in, be working, do whatever and listen.
Yeah.
But if it's a content where it's like meant to be viewed as far as a video, I'm actually not a big fan of, because I would rather be out living and not stuck in the screen time. Where so that aspect of it is, I can't stand the YouTube people that are just like constantly making videos that you're just like the riding videos, like where they're just like cruising around. Now, if like there's a certain ride that I want to like take a view.
Photo vlogging is not my thing. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, even lifestyle YouTube stuff. It's like, gosh, damn it, I don't care. Like I just. The YouTube aspect is a love-hate for me. Yeah. Because there's very educational things, but then there's some stuff like I just rather go out and live it.
Yeah. I'm pretty like I like watching, if it's motorcycle YouTube content, it has to have an educational purpose for me. So like I don't mind watching somebody build or work on something. For me it's just easy TV. I just put it on YouTube and if I'm working in my office or if I'm at home farting around and I can just hear what they're doing, but you know, if it's, but yeah, the whole riding thing, I'm like, I'm not going to watch somebody else ride.
Dude, yeah, I ride all the country, ride a lot of cool shit. And even when I film those things and I, you know, try to find unique angles, I'm like, this is boring.
Right.
Like, it's way better to be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, you don't want
I
to.
would rather see images, you know what I mean? Like certain snapshots that can capture, because if you can do that in an image, right? If you can capture a particular.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that the fact that there's like, if we turn the clocks back 20 years ago, you know, we were on MySpace. We were, you know, figuring out our top 8, trying to figure out if we're a famous Stars and Straps kind of brand, or, you know,
the original
like
Facebook.
Are we trying to, you know, when you come to my page, is it going to be Crazy Town, Come My Lady?
Yeah.
Or
hey, we're learning to code. We're gonna have the background graphics and the music.
Exactly.
playing.
And then now social media is like, we can kind of live vicariously through so many other people.
Yeah.
That there's not this incentive to take on, oh, I'm inspired to go do what that person is talking about doing. I just watched them do it and it didn't look that great, so I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to do Avenue of the Giants because this person gave a bad review about it. We're a Yelp society, right? I was thinking about this the fucking day. Yesterday, actually, I was not drunk, actually, having a sober thought. And I've been driving the van the last couple of days, like for everyday shit. And then yesterday I drove the Jeep everywhere. The Jeep has tire pressure sensors, heated seats. It lets me know everything going on within that vehicle. I feel like the Jeep just creates anxiety. If I get in the Jeep and it's like the tire pressure is like, oh yeah, it's cold outside. So obviously they're all fucked up right now. Fuck, do I need to put air in it? No, it's not that serious. Right. Okay, let me switch it. I don't want to see all those red lights. Oh man, my gas mileage sucks right now. Dude, what am I doing wrong? Man, it's like all these things are telling me, like it's giving me the wrong feedback of what it used to be to drive a vehicle. It used to be cool to jump in a fucking vehicle and just be like, hell yeah.
It was just completely analog world.
Yeah.
Well, even when we were going to Born Free Cali, and like I had I got a newer bagger, so like it's showing me the head temp, you know, like the head engine temp. And it's like, man, is this bad? Is this good? I don't know. It seems kind of high.
Hot. It's real fucking.
Am I supposed to have a good time right now, or am I supposed to be concerned? You know?
Yeah.
It's hot. It's real fucking hot.
Well, I think that all these things like are initially taking away the primal joys of what it's like to be a biker, a hot rodder, or all these things of just enjoying. Like, you know what's great about having an old car and like, it's not great, but like you enjoy it till you can't.
Yeah.
Fuck, this is badass. Let me hit the gas. Oh, blew the rear end out. Fuck. There was no light telling me, guess what? If you do this, it's going to blow the rear end out.
Check engine light. Hold on. Reduce speed.
Although maybe we need a red line though for things. Like
There's certain things I will say like it's good. But you know, I guess what I'm getting at is that for all the people that are finding motorcycles now, I think that they're coming into a very educated world that the education is somewhat overpowering to the experience. Like you're so connected to like what you know rather than like going into it and being a student of traveling on a motorcycle to California or Sturgis and just letting whatever be. You want to know everything that could happen on your trip, everything that could happen to your bike, everything that could happen to you physically. And you do all this research and you Yelp it and you fucking figure it all out. And now you have this preconceived expectation of everything that's going to happen, and there's no sense of exploration, unfamiliarity of like something being exposed to something new. There's no way to just enjoy what happens because it's happening. Because if you have expectations before it, then they're not what you expected. Therefore, you feel like something's wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
That's kind of my hippie, woo woo, kind of like where I'm at in life, where I just want to not know what the fuck's going on a little bit and be a little reckless. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why I bought a shovel head.
That makes sense. I mean, because if you look at, let's just look at your journey, right?
Okay.
The last and what platforms you're on. So it's big wheel baggers travel.
We don't talk about big wheel baggers. There's no pictures of big wheel.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
just
like,
playing.
that was, I mean, that was the,
Yeah, it was
like,
there.
that was like, ride your shit. You know,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm in love with the travel aspect of this. You know, you just had a machine to do it on. And then now it becomes about fine tuning that particular piece of equipment to make it more accommodating.
Mhm.
And then now then it was like, okay, well, how do I up the ante on this, right? Like, how do I mean, you've always talked about building choppers, you know, or having a chopper. So, you know, this slowly leads into, you know, now how bare bones can I, and then you do probably one of the longest trips that I can recall. You spent a whole summer on a chopper, just traveling around doing podcasts. It's, you know, you continually found ways to up the ante on how can I still make this more exciting, more adventurous for me.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people will end up on that journey, you know, especially if they have that same kind of passion. They're going to find ways to, you know, how do I still make this interesting, fun? And there are some people, a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like I've got to, you know, the ultimate would be like no phone. You know what I mean? Like no phone.
Well, how would they know what I did today?
Take camera.
Yeah.
Or well, the only aspect that now you got to have a spot for like a traditional map.
Fuck yes. Jason's gonna have a whole like he'll be like an on-road off-road guy.
Why do you
He's
think
just
this
gonna
fucker's talking about
Yeah.
Hokahade?
You were in Davenport, Iowa. What's that?
He'll be like he'll be chopper navigation. It'll just be scribbled on the inside of his hand.
So I got the whole United States map on my arm
Yeah.
right now. I got it tattooed because
He's gonna look like an NFL quarterback. He'll have the whole
Right, the
fucking
little
sleeve.
flip out thing on his
flip it
arm.
open.
Well, you know, I'll be honest with you, like doing this podcast. So we've been a big voice in the performance motorcycle scene for the last 8 years, 7 years, whatever. And I fucking love that world. But I'm bored with it. I'm bored with everything about it. It's like everything got so we dialed everything in so good. Like I've said before, peak world of this was 2021. Coming into 2022, it was fucking a great place to be. And I'm not saying it's not a great place now. I just think that what we experienced it can't be recreated. It's become too big now. And for me, you know, for everybody that's like, oh man, I just found this cool thing, T-bars on performance baggers. I'm like, bro, like I'm a different man than I was in 2017, 18. Like I still love these bikes, but now I'm like, I kind of want a new fucking challenge, a new.
Well, that's always been your MO. You've always chased challenges. As long as I've known you, you've always chased challenges. That's what made you better as a painter. I think that's what's made you better as a person because you've always chased challenges. You never got to a spot and was like, this is it. I'm done. I'm chilling here. This is just my segment of the market. This is what I'm doing. You were always on to the next. And if you want to follow me, cool. And if not, I'm doing it anyway.
If you're not, I'm an emotional wreck.
Well, I think there's
Fuck you, hoes.
This certainly wasn't your intent, but I think that there's always that scenario where anytime something gets oversaturated or you know, over popular, that you know, if you were one of the original ones or early on, it just becomes not fun or cool anymore. Like that's
if I was going to correlate and like compare and contrast like the height of the big wheel bagger world that I was a part of and what performance baggers are now or performance motorcycles in general, it's not that like performance baggers took a turn and went super clown like, but ultimately I think the people involved both started to carry a demeanor that was off-putting. The bikes have always been like, you know, to some degree, like I still see performance baggers being built. I'm like, fuck, that's rad. That's badass.
Right.
But the general vibe around them, if I go to, I know it's low hanging fruit, but if I go to a performance bagger forum on Facebook, I'm just scrolling down and I see something on there and I see the toxicity in the comments. I'm like, yeah, this is washed out now. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians now. And it's just not fun. It's not cool. It's like all you can do, the only way you can stand out in this world is to spend a lot of money and deal with the hate from doing so. And lo and behold, you probably ride more than the biggest shit talker that's ever been on social media.
Yeah.
But yet why should you have to spend the money, build the bike you want, ride it the way you want, and fucking like console some fucking insecure ass little bitch of a man that's living in some part of the country where he doesn't get to fucking scratch the itch of being a real fucking biker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what happened in performance baggers or in big wheel shit, performance baggers. It got too big for its britches. And now we're all in this space of like enjoying this amazing motorcycle, but how do we not become a part of the Dixon flannel or the affliction trend of what takes place?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My favorite is when you have like some female influencer that says like, oh, you shouldn't ride with your feet like dangling on the ground. They need to be on the pegs the whole time or whatever, you know, like those ones that try to like preach also how to ride a motorcycle or whatever. This other stuff. Like, man, just let it go. Have you, so, I mean, you've had your Softail now for a while. Have you thought about a secondary project?
No.
Not at all. I mean, you just got your truck too. So like, that's about it.
I stay busy with the 2 cars and 1 motorcycle. You know, when I had, when Stephanie had her bike, I was like, I used to feel, I hated just seeing it sit in the garage.
Yeah.
And I heard, there was a story when Will Smith first got famous, you know, when he was a rapper, when he, you know, it was before Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
And before, so at the very beginning, and, you know, he had made all this money, you know, as a rapper, and he had bought all these cars, same thing that most young people do, that get money for the first time. And so, you know, his dad comes over and he's showing his dad like all these motorcycles and all these cars that he had. And his dad's like, his dad asked him, he goes, how many asses do you have? And he said, I got 1. And he goes, why do you have so many fucking vehicles?
You can only drive one at a time.
You can only drive 1 at a time.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're young, you're like, oh, I want to have all, and then all I think the conservative part of me, the fiscal Marcus is like, I got to put oil in that. I got to put tires on that. And then if I don't ride it, it's just going to insurance, you know, it's just going to sit here and the tires are going to dry rot. And I'm like, if I'm not a hoarder of any type. If I don't use something, if it's not of any practical use, it's out of my fucking life. So, you know, I'm like, whatever I have and that I'm going to use and operate, it's, you know, that's where I'm going to spend my money. That's where it's going to go. Look, I've thought about it. Like, yeah, it'd be great to have another project in the garage that I can work on when I have time. But I mean, between what the house projects that Stephanie keeps me busy with, and then the 2 cars, and then just trying to make continual upgrades on the bike I have now so I don't buy another one. I just feel like my hands are full.
I got a great question that I was thinking about while I was pissing. Jake, like both of you answer this, but like, what was it that drew you to these type of bikes or seeing everything? Because I mean, you came on like, you know, we did the bike together and then you started showing up and it's like, I mean, you were awesome. I mean, it was great for us in our scene to have you come around. Like you brought a lot of great energy from the Reno days of bike night to even now. So what was the, like, why'd you choose this path coming from where you were in motors? I mean, you were on a fucking romance novel.
Yeah.
On the Deuce.
The Deuce. Yeah. You know, I've always, you know, riding dirt bikes as a kid and stuff like that. Like it was always one of those things where I definitely wanted to, the performance aspect of it was in the fast life aspect was definitely something that intrigued me. Now, I've always been the personality where I don't like spending money twice, even though with this bike I've spent it 3 or 4 times
like,
over. Yeah. So, and that was mostly to my own fault, but either way, I wanted to do something awesome right away. Yeah. And, you know, so had the funds and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And so I went for it. And, you know, I loved every second of riding the bike and the scene that it created. So I guess that was kind of like what got me into, and honestly, I have no idea what got me, you know, I moved from North Carolina to Dallas And it was shortly after that I reached out to you as far as like painting the bike, and I wish I could remember exactly how I got tied into the T-Bar Tuesday side of things. Had to have been some type of Instagram, post somewhere along the lines. That's the only thing I can think of. But either way, that was I just my always wanting to go. Everything that I've ever done in my life has always been like go big or go home, and I'm not going to just like because if I have an interest in it, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go big into it. So then that way I stay with it. Because if I in my opinion,
dabble in it,
if I just dabble in it, I'm never going to stay with it.
Yeah.
So I was always willing to just go big with it, and that's what I did, and it's been great for me.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus, like I've known you for a long time, and you were, I mean, dude, your Viklas or your Vikla, the blue one, had a couple of iterations, but it was fucking a good looking bike, man.
Yeah, I mean that was that's all I ever rode. Starting with choppers, and then moving over to the early Evo softtail platforms, and then eventually the twin cam. I always liked just long fenders, whether it was beach bars or ape hangers, but much to the big wheel, bikes that just looked good, kind of stationary.
Yeah.
You didn't like I'm riding to a bar in Dallas. I'm not road tripping anywhere on any of these bikes. So it was always just kind of like just a show bike, and then when I found it got exhausting. That first of all, the lowrider scene is exhausting. Just the politics and the drama. This is how we met. The politics and the drama with that is super exhausting. And then any of the bike events you went to, like I said, it's going to be like a 92.5 kZPS bike night, or a hog chat. And it was just, those guys are older than me. They're riding bikes that I can't really relate to. So I just felt like I just really didn't have a home for a bike community. There was a couple of young guys, but most of those guys didn't stay in very long, and they moved on to some other platform. And I literally found the North Texas T-Bars thing just by happenstance on Instagram. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to go check this out. And I go down there, and it's literally like 8 dudes. Kyle, you, Matt, the original 8 was this. And I was like, oh fuck, well, I already know some of these guys here. This is perfect. And it was a good excuse to go downtown during the week. And that was my first exposure to that particular style of motorcycle. Now, I had a buddy that had done a Dyna that, he was a high school friend, and he had a Dyna, and we had kind of built something similar to that. I had run T-bars on a lot of my choppers. It's what he decided to run on his Dyna. So it was like an early iteration of that. And I remember how I was like, this is how this bike is supposed to look. Corbin seat, T-bars. I thought this is the best a Dyna ever looked, because when you see a Dyna with fucking ape hangers and they lower it and solo seat,
put an FL fender on the back of it.
Yes. Yeah. Looks terrible.
Yeah.
So seeing everybody's bikes there and then sitting on one, I was like, well, this makes way more sense. And I was also at an age too where I'm like, I will prefer it, and then doing a couple of the camp outs. And I was like, well, my bike sucks. This bike sucks. This is a terrible platform. It rides like shit. I can't carry anything. We were at the camp out one time. I can't remember who I was talking to. We were like, Simpson sound like shit, right? It's the first time I was like, now every time I hear a set of Samsons, I'm like, fucking fart cans, dude. I still appreciate the bikes.
Yes.
I do.
Thinking about that though, so especially where the Harley platform has gone since I think 2022, is there really a bike, that can be a true Vikla anymore? And didn't they get rid of the Heritages or something like that?
Yeah, no.
Or the soft tail
currently,
deluxes?
no.
Yeah, the new soft tails are harder to lay out because of the way the monoshock situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
even the last generation of the Heritage, especially the way they did the exhaust, it ran under the swing arm.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a couple guys. There's a dude, Frank. He's probably one of the last fenders I stretched. His looks really good, but all I see when I look at those bikes is like they're great in photo ops and videos, and they're great. They're cupcakes. They're decorator pieces. For me, my interest is in I want to have a platform that I can load gear on. I can travel as many miles as I want in comfort,
Mhm.
get to the event, unload my shit, set up, and then go rip.
Yeah.
And that, that's just what I like. And that's what I took away from, meeting you guys. It was funny switching over to that, which is to this day, it's still my favorite Harley of all the Harleys I've ever had is my soft tail that I'm on now.
Mhm.
Still my favorite bike, and it still makes me smile every time I'm on it. I love that I can
Looks
just
damn
pack
good,
it.
too.
Thank you.
I remember when
Thank
you bought it, man. Like I was like, oh shit, Marcus that came to the dark side.
Well, I mean, looking at everything you guys had been building up to that point, I already, I had in my mind what I wanted. This one just happened to already be
Mhm.
pieced together for
That
the
tank
most part.
decowl that's not stock, right?
It was painted.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I
Jason
thought.
Smalls painted that.
Yeah.
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 I'm like, every time I hear decal, I'm like,
Well,
no.
yeah, no,
I was gonna do a decal. Well, the only reason I go is because how much I paid to have that fucking thing painted
Right.
on there. So,
It's on a decal. I'm just saying,
right.
like, the tank image.
I always when you've had something for a long time, it's easy to take it for granted.
Yeah.
And my bike is kind of one of those things. Like I love it, right? Like I don't ever look at any, like the new CVO ST was probably the only bike that I've been like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
But my bike is just one of those things where it's just I have such because I love riding it so much, because it fits me so well, and it's just accommodated every need. And I've had so many memories on it, and I've met so many great friends that it's just really a part of me. I can't imagine having anything else. Yeah, I mean, it's just, but I owe it all to meeting this group. And I tell people all the time, especially because there's a lot of guys I was riding with that are, ape hanger guys. And they're like, oh my God, those bikes look like shit. The fucking handlebars are so goofy. And why are you lifting it up? And it's so fucking stupid. But I'm like, dude, ride it one time. Ride one of these bikes one time. Take one fucking trip on one and tell me you won't change your fucking setup.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It's just funny. I got to catch on this real quick before it fucking slips my mind. So I'd seen Jake's bike get built, painted, all the pictures that were posted, and I was so excited to see it in person. I had no clue if he was ever going to be at any one of the bike nights. So I do the first Chiclas and Viklas at Maverick Harley, just, hanging out with some of my old lowrider buddies, which was a fucking solid reminder of why I fucking could not, just could not deal with that crowd, the politics and the crowd in general. So I see his bike out there. It's just parked there. And I was just out there eyeballing it and run into Jake, obviously make our introductions. We're saying hello. And he's like, we're both at the same time. This place sucks. Fucking out of here, dude. All we did was we had drinks and talked shit about how fucked up the venue was.
Yeah.
And then we're watching grown men fight over fucking
There was like
paint jobs.
there was like a fist fight over. I can't remember this is 3 years ago now. I can't remember what the reason was. But
I do.
Oh,
I
you
do
do? Okay.
remember. So there were two bikes that had similar paint jobs. I think
that's right.
I don't want to name names.
Yeah,
But there were
yeah.
two bikes that had similar paint jobs. So one of the daughters of one of the owners of the bikes gets on Facebook and starts lighting it up that this guy and his painter copied my dad's bike's
That's
paint
right.
job. They're poser, like all this shit talk. And then it immediately erupts right there through fucking Facebook. And then
Mhm.
there's overweight Mexican dudes that probably have never been in a fight in their life, maybe not since middle school, but they're probably 200 plus pounds more than they were in 8th grade, out there running out of breath, trying to fucking beat each other up.
Mhm.
I'm like, this is so stupid over a fucking paint job.
Yeah.
I mean, what paint job at some form hasn't been
Well,
duplicated, replicated, reproduced?
and it
And to
wasn't.
be honest with you, I've seen a lot of those paint jobs and they all suck.
They do suck.
And here's the thing: is like, and in my unbiased opinion, it was just the same colors. Like the paint jobs were nothing alike. It's just that they were the same colors.
They were the same colors, same colorways. Yeah. And yes, a lot of fucking trash out there. A lot of trash.
Bury it in flake. Bury the trash in flake.
Yeah.
And call it good.
Exactly.
Check the boxes on the criteria sheet to win the fucking show. Paint, candy, flake, airbrush, pinstriping, bam.
Yeah, but even
doesn't
then,
matter if it's good.
Even then, it's the type of shows where whoever has the most club members there that's going around talking to everybody, hey, vote for this bike, hey, vote for this bike. You know, it's not. It's the typical. It's the reason most of us that have been in motorcycle events and shows hate fucking shows.
It's crazy that you bring that up because that's kind of some of the MO that's starting to come into this world of performance baggers. It's like you have you know, when people go to Daytona, even though we've iterated this so much, Daytona sucks as a rally unless you're trying to party. If you want to party, go to Daytona. You're gonna have a great time. But don't go to a bike show and be mad that the bike that has more money and is more flashy wins over your performance bagger.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because a lot of it's like what people's choice, or it's going to be whoever can rally the most people to vote for that fucking.
For the
bike.
most part, I mean that's kind of what sucks about bike shows in general this day and age is that there's no real like effort put into judging a bike. It is kind of like you take all that potential animosity away by like, hey, Jake, you help me judge this class. That way, if everybody hates him, like, well, Jake picked the fucking winner of this bike show.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you know, the argument is performance baggers are supposed to be about riding your bikes and blah, blah, blah. But then the people that are most angry about shit are the dudes that are like competing with people in parking lots. Like, oh, well, I built my blacked out dyno with all this, or my blacked out performance bagger with all this shit on it. And, you know, this is a real bike. I rode it here from so-and-so. I'm like, you're still in a parking lot comparing it to another bike.
Right.
Like, it blows my mind people's like justification of where they want to hang their hat on why their bike matters. It should only matter to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, bike shows are cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, bike shows are fun. They're cool. But it doesn't matter who you are. Like, the reason I stopped going to them and participating is because I don't like who I am when I'm in a bike show. I don't like my mind.
I agree.
I agree.
It doesn't matter. We can all be boys.
I agree.
I'm like, Jake didn't do ARPs on this fucking front. I did. I should win more than he should.
Well,
you know,
and that's absolutely the mindset. And I would also sit there and say too, like we've had this discussion before, but man, when you're stuck there for 4 or 5 hours, like you just want to go do something else. I mean, after a couple hours, and you don't want your bikes just stuck in the show. Like that aspect of it it gets boring.
And it's easy to turn into what Jace is saying when you're there that long, because at that point, the walking around, checking out everything else is worn off. So now it's just like, all right, let's get this over with. And then if it is somebody else, you're like, I had enough time to look at that motherfucker, and there's no way that thing should have beat me. Yeah,
well, and I guess, as a bike show, you want the bikes there long, a decent amount of time for the people to see them and walk through. I get that aspect of it, but as someone putting a bike in there, and you get like, when you're in all you do, everyone just sits around that same like little room or whatever, and just drinking, and you're just getting more and more worked up over things. So
that's what I'm saying. You end up sitting there long enough, you can turn into Jose and get real mad.
I think my mindset was always for any of those events were always, well, I'm just here for community. Yeah. Like this whole idea. Like, well, first of all, I never had the means. Or I think even the desire, like anything I had, it was something that I was happy with. If other people liked it, great. And more importantly, if I made friends out of it, that was even better. Yeah. So, I'm not competitive by nature in that sense. Right. So but the sitting around it depends. Like if it was Southern Throwdown inside the bomb factory, fuck yeah, I'm there all day, baby. Yeah. There's so much to do. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there's so many. I just try to always look at it for community. It just depends on what the show is. Like the Shifter Crew show was sick. Yeah. It was fun, man. Right. It didn't even feel like a show. No. It was so relaxed, so fun. And the bikes that were all there were literally top tier shit. I mean, there was no. It would be. I would hate to be.
I mean,
somebody
yeah,
that,
Texas swept it, so
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Texas is the reason, baby. I mean, we got there. I mean,
Tis
there's
the season.
In South Dakota.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I thought about that after that show, and I was so happy for all of our boys that took stuff home. And then the other guy on the was the East Coast. He's East Coast, right?
Like Washington or something like that. That guy with the
West Coast. So he's on the west.
He was
Mid-City Mike. He's from Oregon.
Okay,
Oregon, yeah.
Especially on the performance side of Harley, seeing what's converged in Dallas because we're so centrally located is this unique blend of both.
Yeah,
you get this really wonderful blend of the performance and club style that comes out of the East Coast, and then the flair from the West Coast. And that's what I think was really unique about what you see come out of Texas as a whole. Now, whether that's organic or coincidence, who knows? But, outsider looking in and just observing what you're seeing on across the United States, what you see converge in Dallas, I thought was and I was like, yeah, it's a great convergence of both cultures right here in the Central, and to see them all on display here in Sturgis.
Yeah.
And
well, I think too, so, Jesse James recently said this, well, he said it multiple times, but, bikes are meant to be ridden.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he hates bike shows, because like most of those bike shows are just like not bikes that are ridden. And I think, when I think back to that Shifter Crew show, every Texas bike that won, and I don't know about the, Mid-City Mike guy from Oregon, he might ride that bike a lot. I don't know, but every Texas bike for sure gets ridden.
They all had miles on them.
A lot
of miles.
Yeah. Early last year, the year doing the FXR tour, I was at Saddleman, and I'm not going to say who at Saddleman. It wasn't actually somebody there, but we were all talking, and we were talking about FXRs and builds, and they had made a statement like, oh, like our bikes are just like more dialed in. I was like, yeah, because you don't ride them anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to ride my bike from Texas to here to go show it at Born Free. You trailer it fucking 20 miles from Riverside to fucking Orange County and show it, and you've never put any wear and tear on this bike. Therefore, even if I put it on a trailer, it's going to have more wear and tear than your shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
even if I want to like make it look, I gotta like spend hours to clean the bastard, to like put it in a show. But I am happy to hear someone like Jesse James say like, I don't like bike shows because unless you're like riding it. Like he's made that comment before.
Yeah, man, the fucking argument about bike shows it's like there's so many tiers of it. Oh, that thing doesn't start. That thing doesn't ride. You can't ride that. Like why would it just bike shows just bring out the worst nature of people, in my opinion. And that's why, like, even though I want to put a bike show on at Nitty-Gritty, I don't want to put, like, I got to find a way to put on the thing that brings out the worst in people to make it still be fun. It's like a psychological event that I got to put together for everybody to enjoy it.
I don't know. I don't really get that vibe in a lot of the, and look, I can only judge it like on what I've seen at the camp out, like the ride-in shows.
Did you watch the camp out? The year we did when Big Trouble did the big show, right? Did you watch? Like we couldn't have more plastered the purpose of this bike show. And then when people didn't win, the burnouts and the revving and the fucking fuck you, I should, like the way people left.
I guess, oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
I remember us or everyone saying like what the purpose of the show was, but I don't remember people like screaming off.
Yeah.
That part I don't remember.
Because like we were like, hey, look, we're not really judging the bikes. We're judging the vibe of the people that are on the bikes.
That sucks.
And then like, there's a bunch of fucking people that look like they just came to the camp out that day for the bike show and then dipped out.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That
they
sucks.
missed all the throwing up.
Hey, I got a bunch of Big Trouble bike show trophies in my garage still. I can give it one.
That sucks that people take a fucking show that seriously. Like I said, my take on any of those events has always been, I'm going there because all my friends are going to be there. And, if they win, great. but I've never been on the competitive side of it, so I don't know. You know, I have no vested interest in it outside of I'm just there to hang out with my friends.
So to that point, looking back at the shifter crew in Sturgis, you could make the argument that Cody's bike probably could have won over mine as far as best bagger. And had he won, I would have been like, hell yeah, dude. And hell yeah, Texas, everyone else.
Right.
That's exactly what my mindset would have been. And, you know, granted, they're all friends, so like maybe it's a little bit different, but still, like I would have been super happy for all of them.
Yeah. Well, I think it's where you hang your hat on the purpose of why you're doing this stuff or why you're customizing your bike is kind of like going to be the I don't know if the word's irony or just like the way things are going to transpire. If you build your bike for yourself, which I think your bike is built for you, it's very personal to you and your life. Then like, yeah, it's cool to be able to take it to a place like a show and show it off. Like I want to, when I build a bike, I want to show you.
Right.
I just don't want you to, I don't want your judgment through a trophy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you like the bike? Cool, man. Appreciate it. Like, you want to talk about it? Let's
sure.
But
I will take that any day.
Yeah.
Over a trophy.
To that point, I would say that's probably the aspect of these bike shows that lacks, and to this day, all of them, is why isn't there more of like a showcase of the bikes like that, you know, just in general or in the show and what the story is, and maybe not necessarily the story.
I think that's the one thing I love
something
about
I could do with this like Nitty-Gritty thing to kind of create a different element of like connection to these bikes.
It's the one thing I love about the hand-built show. Now,
you like that show?
Yeah,
I do like the hand-built show.
Okay.
I do like the hand-built show. Now, I do have some critiques.
Yeah.
You know, just like, you know, I do with SEMA, right? Like, you know, shit that's just a complete art piece with no oil, no gas, doesn't run. Yeah, I got real problems with that. I don't like that. I don't want to see a concept. I want to see something that is truly functional in the sense that you could ride this thing in here and out of here, and not just into the trailer. But I do like bikes being displayed as art pieces. There's no trophies. The trophy is you got invited to be here.
Yeah.
You submitted photos. They chose you. You're here. And then you're here just to be a vestibule for your piece of art where you get to talk to people that are interested. I like that.
Yeah. Isn't Mama Tried the same way or similar?
Yes, that's how Mama Tried is. Yeah.
I love that concept.
I mean, that's how Born Free is as well for the inviter builders. That's how most shows are.
True.
I love
the
that.
ride-in bike show is the place of like, you know, which to that point, I would always say that, that person might have he might have put more fabrication and whatnot, but as a motorcyclist, someone that enjoys riding it, I'm always going to be more drawn to the dude that built to the nines of his capabilities, but still can ride the bike and go do the thing that I'm connected to and love about motorcycles. Right.
Well, you know, that's the tricky thing too, right? Like if you're going to have judges for a show, they have to be of varying opinions, right? You would have to have somebody like somebody with your mindset, somebody with like Adam Garley's mindset that's very detail oriented, or even Corey Abear that's very detail, or you would have to have 3 or more judges from.
You need the judges arguing at the end of it.
Fuck yeah. Fuck you, man.
This is why this one's better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's hard to do because you have to find those people first.
There's no incentive to be that person,
right? Like what?
Yeah.
What you think I want to spend my fucking day off fucking doing that?
I want to go and create a bike show so that I can be everybody that, or I can be the person everybody hates.
Right. I think it's easier to do it like the Mama Trides and like where they're just art pieces there. You know, even if it was the first 25. You know. That happen to submit and get in, like that's it. That's what's going to be here. But yeah, when they're set up like that, where they're just art displays and they're just there for people to go and talk to and ask questions about the build, and there's no awards, there's no trophies, you know, take the competition out of it because it brings out the worst in people. I mean, it definitely brings out the best. Like, look, we wouldn't have some of these builds, period, whether it's cars or motorcycles, if you didn't have a competition aspect to it, right? It's what creates ingenuity. But at the same time, everybody's idea feeds somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
You know, like this is all progression. This is all innovation. This is just how it's worked. It's just weird that it went so far. Like the performance side is such a far swing from the traditional Harley scene.
Yeah.
To see, the first bike that I saw that was set up, it was a 2017 Lowrider S.
Mm-hmm.
It was Hell's Angels that was out here. I was just happened to be at a bar in Richardson at Main Street Tavern. And he had stopped in on the road and, he saw my Softail outside and I was outside smoking and he was just like, we're just starting to talk. And I've never seen a bike like that before, ever. T-bars, had a T-Sport.
This is your Vikla Softail? Or
yeah,
okay.
I was on my Vikla and he had his T-Sport fairing. He had leather pros and the bike was lifted, big motor. And I'm sitting there and he's walking me through like all the stuff that he's done on the bike. And I'm just like, this thing is sick, and he's just telling me like, yeah, I rode straight through, would stop and get hotel rooms, but literally just rode straight in from California. And I'm like, that's fucking gangster, and I remember seeing how set up the bike was, with mids and he had West Coast T-bars on it. I fascinated with the bike, had the Hell's Angels flying wings on the tank and it was just so fucking gangster, and I remember thinking like, this is the shit right here. Like this is the 68 Chevelles of Harley Davidsons, like I never like trying to put together performance in Harley Davidson for me was like, okay, you could do cool motor shit, but like suspension, brakes, and he had everything on a Dyna.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what these bikes were supposed to be, and then finding you guys' group and seeing what you guys were doing, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, this is the ticket. This is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and to be fair, it still is. Like
it is.
It's the bike.
It is. I tell anybody that's interested in getting a Harley, because if I ride mine up to school, right? If I ride mine up to work, everybody's general idea of a Harley is like that's a Harley. And I'm like, yeah, and their idea is wild hogs. Like, a fat boy with some diamond studded fucking, leather bags and a clear windshield and leather daddied out. Like that's their idea. And I'm like, no, it's like the game has changed. It's completely different,
Yeah.
I can't wait till bike night goes back to that.
Oh man.
Bring a fringe back. Leather fringe.
Shit, dude.
That's why I haven't sold the Deuce. I'm waiting for it.
It's coming back. I promise you. I'm holding out. No, there's
22 years from now, everybody's coming in looking like Judas Priest with fucking leather fringes.
I feel like dude, the funny thing is like how like at some point, when does like the way we joke about things that we find funny about previous cultures become our culture? And now it's like back. It's like all of a sudden
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, every other style. Like why is that? Why would motorcycles be
there was a while
exempt from that?
At Sturgis, like some of the guys were buying like a fringe blue jean vests and patching them out towards like how many more times, like how many of us are going to do this before it just becomes like the way we do Sturgis? And now that's how we just do everything. Yeah. Like you make fun of it to the point where like the making fun of it becomes
just
how we do
out.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time I see an FXR, I think about all the guys that bought FXRs when they were new, right? And they were probably, I'm like, and this is just what I can relate it to. My dad had a visceral hate for FXRs. He was like, this is the end of Harley. But I'm looking at the guys. So they were all well-to-do, software engineers, pilots, things like that. The guys that were transitioning from metric bikes over to Harley because of the FXR. But they, all the ones that I can relate to were guys that were pretty well-to-do, right? Nerds, essentially just nerds, like, and I think about it now and I'm like, every time I see an FXR, I just see those old guys and they're like, I fucking knew it. I knew it one of these days. And to see so many people converge on those motorcycles. I mean, I have the high school instructor at Mesquite at Vanguard, he's bought one. Like that's his long-term project.
Think about it. Corey from Main Drive probably knows more about FXRs than most people because he not only restored an 84 and understands every fucking nook and cranny of this build, but he's also kind of pioneered some M8 stuff.
He's made the M8 platform on the FXRs more accessible to most people. Because before it was like this, when Moto Witch and with FXR division, when they were doing the first one, was like this fucking, it was like voodoo shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you got to be master class if you're going to. And Corey was the first one that, and look, I will never take anything away. His skill set is next level, but he did it in a manner that made it more to encourage more people to try and do the same thing. Yeah. Right. Like
the way he talked about it through like Get Bent Moto's showcase series. The podcast and all the things that he was on, like he made it seem accessible and doable to the normal dude, even though what he did was high complicated fabrication work. He made it look simple. He
literally, if he wrote a book, M8 FXR conversions for dummies, like that's literally what Corey did. Like he put the material out there, and he's so accessible that that's why you saw so many on this last FXR. I know that because he made all the information so accessible. Just the work you guys did on your chopper, just being so accessible to ask him questions, and he would gladly answer. And I think Justin too, to some degree, to just really showing some insight on like, hey, look, this is what you have to do. This is what goes on to make this happen. It's not rocket science. It's just some basic engineering. And
he took chopper concepts that he learned building choppers, applied them to the M8 FXRs, and it was like a breeze for him. And I think that's kind of like the attraction to me, is that like all these skills he learned building choppers 20 years ago are the things that like I think some of my generation skipped over because it didn't apply to the bikes we were building. Right. And now I want to know how to do that type of shit, because I think now it's kind of coming full circle where a lot of the builds of the future, depending on how like the stoke for new modern bikes go, it's either going to be like, hey, we're going to continue to create modern bikes, or more people are going to look back in how they can take something old and turn it into something new.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited.
I mean, they can both exist at the same time, but
I'm excited for the resurgence in choppers and this integration that we're seeing. I mean, dude, this is a perfect example right behind you.
Yeah.
This integration of modern and traditional combined together. Yeah. So your bike, Remy's bike, what Corey's been building, like to see this. I mean, his space chopper on that Sportster he had was a prelude to a lot of this shit,
Yeah. The thing I think what makes custom motorcycles cool is the fact that not like if you pull into a parking lot, you almost will never see another one like it. Or, for like the FXR chop or certain bikes, like there's not another one there's not another one in this area code, right? And that's kind of what it was like with the early days of Florence Baggers, when you pulled up on a set of T-bars, lifted bike, normal bags, when everything was coming with stretch bags.
Right.
It's like the anomaly in the fucking lineup of bikes, and like you stood out, and then all of a sudden now that's become the norm. How do you stand out from that? I think you go back to big wheels, actually. But the thing is, like,
I don't know, man. So this is prior to meeting you. I knew of you.
Yeah.
But that big wheel bagger you had at what was it? Steak and Lube.
Oh, Quaker
Steak and Lube in Frisco.
You weren't around for that days.
Oh no.
We had a Quaker Steak and Lube here, and they're known nationwide for having fucking massive bike nights.
Dude, those bike nights were like, if you had a bike worth salt.
Yeah.
Because if you had a regular bike.
It's the only time I went to Frisco ever to show off.
Yeah, I didn't live here then.
Dude, the only bikes in the parking lot were bikes worth fucking taking out and seeing. Because if you had a regular bike, you didn't go there.
Yeah.
This was like, if you had a bike where people were like, fuck, yes. And so the parking lot would be filled like 100, on a good night, 100, 150. This motherfucker came in, one of the first big wheel baggers that was like really fucking done up. Fucking ball cap backwards, fucking blasting some fucking hip hop, just coming in with the like the most
Every
foreign-
time I go out, I got a show out.
He'd fucking be backing into that right on the street, right off the service road. I was like, this motherfucker knows.
I had short legs. I couldn't maneuver it that well. I didn't want to fucking stumble. Just want to get in the spot and fucking drop the air ride. Well, that's the 400th episode for you motherfuckers. I can't wait for Marcus to come back to say his goodbyes, but
Well, either way, I appreciate Still Austin. I mean,
for sure,
especially being a Texas distiller. I know we talked about this on our failed first podcast, but it is in my opinion, it's a whiskey that, like, from Texas in general, that doesn't have like a burnt, overly hickory taste. It's something that's smooth. I actually really enjoy their taste of what whiskey is, and I drink plenty of whiskey, so I actually appreciate them helping us out here.
Yeah, for sure.
On the Whisky Boys podcast, just talking about a little Still Austin.
Oh yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's good. I actually had an interim bottle between the last podcast, so it's good shit. Yeah,
It's actually one that I keep on my regular rotation now.
Yeah, it was so good that the last podcast, it was good the audio fucking ended. So it really brought out the feels and the...
probably for a good thing that the audio
probably,
ended.
yeah, he got angry real quick.
You know what grinds my gears? At 3 hours and 30 minutes drinking whiskey.
Everything.
You know,
All right, well, we'll be there. Well, at least I will.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make
I'll
a
come check it
galleon
out.
attempt to
Yeah.
hit the distillery.
Well, I know we
over
talked
there.
about this last time too. They lean into the arts a lot. A lot of the artwork on these bottles are from like local artists and stuff like that. So
we need to get Picasso on one of those bottles.
right. or at least could you make like a specialized bottle? You buy 100 of them or something like that, where they do a special label for them.
That would be sick, dude.
It would be.
Yeah.
There's no other artist that I know that I want to see blow up like Banksy than Picasso.
Picasso, yeah.
Oh man, if he had some just general stencils where he could just go around and just spray paint different.
When you
Picassos.
drive down to Austin, you see the little bomb with the legs.
So that's actually a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not in Texas anymore, but yeah, that's actually a friend of mine. So he's has kids. He's a tagger from Los Angeles, moved here, was a painter here by trade in Dallas, painted cars for a living. Was one of my students at Eastfield, actually.
Nice.
This fool, crazy. The life that these guys live, would get up. So after he put his kids to bed, would get up, don his attire, grab his gear, and head out and start hitting the road and go and start marking different places all over, around Texas.
So I haven't noticed it in years. I just thought about it through this process, but from literally Dallas to Austin, you could drive down Interstate 35 and you could just see from the highway.
Yep.
There would be this little, it's kind of like the Mario, like the Super Mario, like bomb with the legs and the arms and the thing.
Yeah,
and it would just be kind of like tagged on a random building or a billboard or whatever, all the way to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the concept with like
that's what Picasso needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just needs.
Is that a banana dick?
Holy shit! It's a helicopter.
Muscular one.
We at Vincent's birthday, we were talking about that. We were like talking about Vincent got that helmet, that white Simpson.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, dude, someone needs to just let him Dick Casso out that helmet. Could you imagine that rolling down the road? You just look over and it looks like you got these tribals and you're like, wait, is that a bunch of dicks?
Yeah.
Down 35 would be fine. If he went to Cedar Park, it'd be a different story.
It's an advertisement.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate this Whiskey Boy things. We've been doing it for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, it just popped up on my memories on Instagram. I can't believe it's been that long.
It's been fun,
now.
man. It's like it's a different approach and a way to have a different conversation that I think that we've all kind of got a perspective that brings a little I don't know, adversity to the conversation, not adversity, but
I think
per se.
Diversity.
Diversity.
I think
That's a good one.
Are you bringing DEI into this? No. I think it brings an aspect of if you're someone that is like wanting to do a custom bike or do something a little bit, from that standpoint, it hopefully it brings you guys, some concepts or at least some thought process behind what some of us like try to think about when we build a bike, or just, simply just trying to join a bike crew in general.
Yeah.
Or like a bike night.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. My ultimate goal is, I got excited early on to see so many different cities that were trying to adopt different, T-bar nights, or some make it, some don't. We know why that works. We know the formula for it. My hope is that, that continues. Look, I want this brand to survive. I love Harley Davidson's. The only way it survives is for us to be good bastions of this particular brand. And I think we've done a great job with that. You've done an amazing job. Yeah. Never staying stagnant, never staying with a particular platform, always introducing people to new styles. And, this venture you're going, this road you've been down with choppers. I'm excited for the shovel. When you were talking about doing, maybe a soft tail chopper at some point, I think that's what this needs. We need this performance is never going anywhere, but I think it's going to be nice to maybe get some young people to maybe try to buy that project and try to do it in their garage. I'm hoping we get a throwback to that, back to the horse days.
Yeah, dude, finance the bike, use that bike to go do all the things you want to do on bikes. And then use that tax return to go buy a fucking $2,500 Dyna, FXRs, shovel head, soft tail, whatever the case may be, and customize and build that to your liking. And, you don't have any kind of, my whole motorcycle career is wrapped up into this build. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of freeing to have that. You have something to go scratch the itch of what you enjoy about bikes, but you have this to go scratch a different itch of like wanting to try some different things in it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good to have a reliable daily and then have a nice little clapped out junker that you can experiment on and maybe, build your skill set.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. So,
All right.
Well, I appreciate
you guys.
it. Thank you. Still Austin. Appreciate the whiskey.
Still Austin.
Cheers again
Thank
to
you.
you guys.
And happy 400th.
Happy 400.
Thank you again.
Congrats.
Thank you guys for supporting it. Devin, thank you.
Devin,
for
thank you.
helping out.
Cheers.
Ruler.
He doesn't have a camera, which is good. So.
That's good.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
Always have a way to